All right, hello. I don't think I have any of you guys here yet, but in case you're watching the recording, I'm letting people in. All right. There we go. Hi there. Let me see. Am I waiting for you to connect the audio? All right. Hi, Anna. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can
All
hear you.
right. Hi. Nice to meet you. How are you?
Hi.
There you go. People are dropping in. Let's just let everyone come in. Just a few of you guys are going to be here at the beginning, though, so that's cool. Let me let people in. There's Jessica and Fabio. Hi, Fabio. Nice to see you again.
Hi, how's it going? Sorry, I don't have my camera working, but yeah.
That's fine.
How's it
Just
going?
I remember what you look like from class. So.
Yeah, yeah. I
Nice.
don't actually think I registered for this class, but then you sent an email. I was like, you know what? Why not?
Oh, there you go. So
Yeah.
glad you made it.
Yeah, I
Cool.
don't think I can register though because I think like the last 20 minutes overlap with the Bruce
Oh.
Photoshop
The,
class. So
but you're in my, wait a minute.
I was in the mailing list, right?
You're in my roster. I couldn't have emailed anyone other than the roster.
Okay, let me see. Let me double check. Maybe it's.
Did I send the email list to the wrong people? Oh my goodness. Hi, Jessica, by the way. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out why Fabio is here when he's not on the roster. Not that I mind you being here, of course. But how would you have gotten the link? And I'm suddenly thinking, did I send this to the wrong class?
I don't know. If I check my schedule,
but Anna is in the class. I'm looking for
I don't have
Jessica. Jessica, what's your last name?
Gray.
Gray, there you are, Jessica. Yeah, so both Jessica and Anna are on the roster for this class. So don't know how you're here, Fabio. Hang out. It's fine. But yeah, you probably won't be able to get in if you have an overlap. So yeah, I don't know. But anyway.
Is there a chance I can follow without
let's talk about that offline because technically no, but let's just talk about that later. But right now I need to welcome the people who truly are here because they have never, if you're here at the beginning, it says you didn't take a class with me yet. So we need to establish some basics. So I'm going to, and I know you know those basics, Fabio, so I'm going to ignore you and speak with mainly with Jessica and Anna right now, and Amber's tuning in right now. She's about to be in here. So actually, the first thing I'd like to do is have you guys put your first and last name, just like I see the first and last name for Anna and Fabio. Hi, Amber. I was just saying that I would appreciate if you guys could change your name. If you don't know how to, I can rename you, but otherwise hover over the face you see of yourself in the video, and you'll see three little dots in white and a blue bottom. You can click on that, and a drop down menu will say rename, and then give me your first and last name. That way I know on the roster how to find you. Okay, Jessica, can you do that? Or if not, I can do it for you. Oh, perfect. There you go. So let me see. Not sure how many people will show up here at the beginning. It might be just you guys, because I'm looking at the roster and there's maybe one or two other people who have never been with me before. But they might show up in the second beginning, so to say. So anyway, hi, nice to meet you. I'm your Illustrator teacher today, and I forgot to turn on a light where you can see me better. So hold on, because I've got the backlight there. Let me, hopefully that gave me a bit more light. And welcome to Illustrator. I have, this light is blinding me though. Put it a little bit, see better. I have to show you before we actually launch the Illustrator class at all, which is when everyone joins us, I'm going to be showing you a couple of things I need as far as how the class is held, where handouts are, VDI, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to launch into that. First of all, once you sign in, I need you to jump into the chat and give me a little hello, I'm here, something like that, just a little show of presence in the chat. We're going to use the chat relatively sparingly. I'm going to put links in there, but also sometimes I might ask you to respond things in there. But for sure, I'd like to have everyone kind of say hi at the beginning. And so if you don't know where the chat is, let me know. Otherwise, please go ahead and write in the chat. And then here's the chat. There you go. So I haven't seen anyone yet respond, so I'm not sure if it's working. There you go, Jessica. Okay. Yesterday we were having issues with the chat feature. That's why I was for a moment hesitating. All right. So when sometimes I'll be asking questions that I'll have you all answer in the chat, things like that. But for the most part, if I am in the middle of talking about something and you have a question that's a little bit off topic, like it doesn't make sense to ask me in the moment, that question, you can always write it in the chat. And then when I have a minute, I'll read the chat and answer your questions. But if you have a question in the moment of what I'm saying, the best way is to raise your hand, the digital hand. So let me make sure that you all know how to use reactions, because I use it a lot in class, not just for the hand, but for other things. So everyone head down to where you have, where you just saw the chat, head over to the right and click on the reactions. And the first button on the bottom is raise your hand. Go ahead and raise your hand right now. If you find it, there you go. Thank you, Fabio. And there you go. So there's very few of us, but you might notice, Fabio, you turned yours off again, by clicking on it again. I don't want you to turn it off again necessarily, but I wanted to show you that you appeared now in the top in the order in which you raised your hand. So what that means is that if there's 2 or 3 people asking a question, by raising your digital hand, I'll kind of answer in order, right? If someone speaks out, I might say, hey, just raise your hand because, Jessica's been waiting for an answer or something like that, right? So go ahead and raise your digital hand if you want to speak. But now, sometimes it's just, you can also just ask a question. You can just say, can you repeat that or something like that? You know what I'm trying to say? Speak out loud. That's fine. I can hear you. But I just want to make sure everyone knows how to access that. And then the buttons that we're going to use a lot in this reactions area is the green check mark and the red circle. Because if you use any of the ones that are on top, little clapping and thumbs up and all of that, which are really cute. And if I make a joke, then yeah, go ahead and, laugh. But they disappear in 3 seconds, right? So when those disappear, I might not notice what you answered. But a lot of times I'll be saying, okay, if you did this step correctly and no problems, give me a green check mark, which is a yes. But if you're having issues with this, give me a no. And then when I see who has a red no, then I'll go ahead and use that, check in with that person. So go ahead and give me a yes right now if you understood this instruction. All right, perfect. And what I want to make sure is that everyone does do it when I say that. Like if you just assume you understood, you don't need to answer, and I don't see your answer, then I'll turn around and I'll say, okay, so like Amber, for example, you didn't do a check. So are you okay with whatever I just explained? And you'll go, oh yes, I just didn't answer. So it's easier if I just see everyone saying yes, and then I move on and I only stop at people who say no. Does that make sense? So that's how I manage when there's a lot of us, to keep moving or to stop and help someone, because there's a very hands-on support in this class. It's not just me talking and you guys watching. It's like we do the work at the same time, right? So this is how I keep track. In my huge request, especially if you're new to my courses, you might hesitate in asking or think, oh, I'll figure it out later. Please don't do that. One of the reasons people really love my classes is because I really make sure that when you walk out of here, you've understood what I've explained. And I really will be giving you, oh my God, I keep being signed out. This is so weird. Can you guys still hear me? I keep getting this message from Zoom saying they're signing me out, but the class keeps going. I don't know what's wrong with Zoom, but I'll just ignore it, because as long as you guys can still hear me, I guess it's all working. All right. And then next thing is that, yes, the fact that I will be providing support means that every now and then you'll ask me something and I'll go, oh yeah, it's the top left, bottom right. but sometimes whatever is happening to your screen, we won't be able to help just with words. And so then I'll say, okay, share your screen with me. So for example, right now, I'm going to actually clear all your feedback, and I'm going to ask you to use the yes or the no to say, have you ever shared your screen during a class? And so give me a yes if you've done it and you know how to do it, or no if you've never done it. And that way I'll know from you guys, from you four, and give you a hand. Okay, so if you're comfy with sharing your screens, Anna and Amber. All right, Jessica, you haven't shared your screen. First question for you, Jessica, is are you on a Mac or on a PC?
I think PC.
Okay, because on a PC, sharing your screen is a little bit easier. For better for worse, on a Mac, they're very careful about your privacy. When you share your screen, they make you go through a lot of hoops where you have to give permissions, which I'm happy to do. But if you're on a PC, just sharing your screen just happens. So I want to just tell you, and Fabio, you're on a Mac, right? Or not? I don't remember. Mac or PC?
I'm on a
Fabio?
PC.
You're
Yeah.
on a PC too. Okay, so
PC.
it's actually a good idea. So Jessica, can you go ahead and practice sharing your screen? Head over to the big share screen green button and click on it once. There's a few more instructions. So click on it first. And once that has happened, let me know, and then I'll tell you what else to click.
I click the button.
Click the green share screen button.
Yes.
Okay, then you get another screen there that you need to go to the bottom right of that screen, and there's a new little button that's blue and has white letters that says share. Go ahead and click that second button. Perfect, you're sharing your screen. Awesome, it worked. I'm just gonna stop your share now. Great, see, on the PC, it's relatively easy. Fabio, you wanna test that too? Click on the share screen. Perfect. Good. There you go. I'm going to stop your share. So we're set. Amber had to drop out and she's coming in again. There she is. She keeps her Zoom is wavering, but I think she's already shared her screen. I'll ask her now again. So that's it. So you saw how quickly it is to share your screen, right? So the moment that I say, you know what, instead of explaining, just share your screen, it's just boom, boom, 2 clicks. I see it and instantly I can go, oh, do this, do that, stop, and we continue. And the class goes much faster than if you wait for like 10 minutes. And then when you finally ask me for help, you're 10 steps behind. Does that make sense? So ask me in the moment when something's not working. Usually I can handle it without sharing your screen. And then if it's something like, well, I don't know what's happening here, and this is showing up, I'll go, boom, share your screen. In a second, I look at it, I help you, and we continue. So people sometimes think sharing your screen is complicated, but it's actually the quickest way to make the class go fast and for you to get support from me. Does that make sense? Are you all promising to share your screen like the moment I say share your screen? A lot of people say, no, it's okay, you know, because suddenly there's that issue there, but I just showed you it's 2 seconds and it really does help. So can I get a yes if you're gonna commit to sharing your screen when I ask you to, please? Good. And Amber, you had disconnected for a moment. You had shared your screen in the past, right? So you know how to do it?
Yeah.
You were a yes on that answer. Okay, great. So see you guys how I'll be using the yeses and nos. And by the way, it's fine to say no to some things, but I need to know. The next question for this group is, how many of you guys have the application Illustrator installed on your computer and available to work? And how many of you do not have it? So yes, if you have it, no, if you don't have it.
Have what was it?
Illustrator, we're in the Illustrator class, right? So do you have Adobe Illustrator in your computer in order to work with it, or do you not? And if not, then you need to use VDI. So Anna? Okay, great. Now Fabio's been in one of my classes before where he installed it or whatnot. So great. So all 3 of you are going to you have 2 choices. You can either purchase a subscription. I'm going to show you now what the cheap way to purchase it is, or you can use VDI. And VDI, and I'm going to clear your answers here, is a way for you to connect through your browser to the school computers and then use the school application. So if you have used VDI before, give me a yes. If you've never used VDI, give me a no. All right. Amber, have you used VDI? So give me a yes. Okay, good. So here you go. First, I'm going to show you really quickly what you can do if you choose to purchase it. And I'm going to share my screen now. If you want to purchase it, a lot of people make the mistake of going to Adobe and purchasing the actual student account, but that is pretty expensive. It's like, even the student account is like $29 a month or $20 a month, and then it goes to $29. And by the time you're done in the year, it's like $240 at a minimum. So what you need to do is purchase it through a place that funds California community colleges, and you can get it for $40 for 6 months, the whole Creative Cloud, all of the Adobe programs, or $80 for a whole year. Even if you're not in class, just the fact that you pay for it, you still are considered a student. So let me show you where to do that. Because that's the only deal you should attempt. And you get the same amount of programs in it as everyone else. And so to get the Adobe Creative Cloud, Illustrator is one of those applications, we're going to go to collegebuys.org. A lot of people forget that it's an org, not an edu, not a com. collegebuys.org. And once you hit return, you'll see that it's a foundation for California community colleges. This is the place where you will identify yourself as a student. And here's the thing that you'll say shop now. And when you go find it, this is what we need. We need the Adobe Creative Cloud. It makes no sense to just get Illustrator, first of all, because for that, you don't get a deal. So you get a deal for the entire set of all of these programs, Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, Dreamweaver, you know, the whole shebang for $40. So when you hit order now, and here's the part that really you need to remember, is that you can only buy it from here if you are a student. So here it'll ask you to select your school. You're going to go and find Santa Barbara City College. There it is, Santa Barbara City College. Once you do that, then you can go in there, right? So when I click on, here you go. I clicked on the wrong thing, on the faculty and staff. See, for me, for that, there it says it's $40. So you choose your school. Let me hit the order now. Hello. Okay, I'm gonna go. So I'll just go into these $39.99 or $80 for one. So say that you only buy it for $9.99. Here's the part that really matters. You must use your EDU email. So when you buy this here, you have to, you say you're a student, whatever, and you have to use your pipeline email address, okay? Now the entire pipeline email address, some of you guys have never written it, is pipeline.svcc.edu. So I just put it in the chat. Oh, God. So that's how your email has to look. Your username, which I spelled it wrong, user's name. It's just username at pipeline.svcc.edu. So what you're going to do is you're going to come in here and purchase it with using your pipeline, put in your credit card, you get billed. And then here's the thing, it's not necessarily as quick, you know, they have to see if you qualify. So even though you said you qualify and you have an EDU, what they're going to do is they're going to take a few days to get back to you. So this is not quick. So if you're going to choose to buy it, you got to start today to have it by next week. You're going to download it. They're going to give you some instructions. They're going to check if you're actually a student, and you're going to come back and when they confirm, for some people it's in 2-3 days, for some people it takes 5 days. Whenever they get back to you, check your pipeline account, right? Because it's in your pipeline account that they'll answer. And they'll send you instructions on how to download, which is relatively complicated. It's not like going and clicking pay and downloading as we're accustomed to, because it's through this foundation, right? So you need to follow their instructions on how to do it. But the most important thing is that when you have to say, is this a school account or a personal account? And this is what get people confused. It's a personal account. It's a personal account. It's not a school account. The school isn't given to the student for free. You are buying it with your credit card. It's your personal account. And yet you're getting it because you're a student with your username from school. Does that make sense? Because that's the only thing that then gets you into huge trouble. Because then when you get into Adobe, they want to charge you because they say you haven't paid, and then College Buys says, well, you said it was a personal account. So it becomes like it might take a few weeks to clear it up. So as long as you remember that, and I have instructions in my handouts that I'll get to you about this again, but they also in their instructions, they say, choose personal, right? So make sure you follow all the right instructions, install it. And then by next week, if you're going to choose to buy this, you will have it installed in your computer. One caveat, you can't do this if you're on a Chromebook, or if you have a Mac. You all said you're PC people, but if you have a Mac, you can't use it on a computer that can't upgrade past OS Catalina. But you all said you're PC, so that probably doesn't matter. All right, so that's how you use it if you plan to purchase it. Now, today, you can't purchase it yet. And even if you choose not to purchase it at all, plan B is to connect to school through VDI. So I'm going to show you right now how to connect to VDI so that you're ready to go when everyone else joins us, so that you can get the Illustrator from school. So go open a new, ideally use Chrome or Firefox as your browsers for VDI. It works more seamlessly. If you're on a PC and use Edge, it can falter, or Safari, it can falter if you're on a Mac. So if you have Chrome or Firefox, use one of those. If you don't, that's okay for today. And then go in here in the search box, let's write vmview.sbcc.edu. I'm going to post that now in the chat, vmview.sbcc.edu. You can copy that and paste it, and then hit your return, and you'll be in this page. Now, I'm going to wait for you to give me a yes. I'm going to clear your thing and give me a yes once you're on this page. Once everyone's on this page, I'll continue, except for Fabio, because you have Illustrator, so you don't have to do this. But Amber, Anna, and Jessica, you all need to connect to VDI, at least for today. Later, you can tell me if you plan to purchase it or not, but that's how it's going to go. I forgot to say one thing. Completely skipped over this. I'm sorry. When I share my screen, you have, like, usually what happens is my entire screen takes over yours, and thus you can't like access your own computer to do work. But you're going to have to, for this course, use your own computer at the same time as watching me. So if you happen to have, the easiest solution is if you have two screens, or if you have a second monitor or an iPad or a second computer that's someone in the house, that you sign in and watch on one computer and use the other one to do the work. That's one option. Sometimes that works. Another option is, you can set up an iPad as a sidecar. So any of that would work. Let me know and I can help you set it up. But plan B, if you have one screen, one computer screen, and that's it, then you need to be able to grab the Zoom box where I'm talking to you, grab the corners of it and make it fill only half your screen. So the first way to do that is to hit the escape key on your keyboard when you're on Zoom. Like, make sure that Zoom is the program you're doing, hit the escape key, and then you can grab the edges of that Zoom and make it fill half your screen. Then on the other half, you open your browser and get Illustrator. Does that make sense? If that is going to work for you, give me a yes. Jessica, were you able to connect to VMview? Yeah, okay, good. See, that's an example. I wait until everyone has answered, and then whoever hasn't answered, I ask specifically, right? So if you answer the moment you have it, then it'll work. And then if you say no, I'll stop and I'll help you get to whatever it is that you need to get to, right? So, okay, great. So if you're all here, the choice we're going to make, if you're continuously going to use VDI because you don't plan to buy the applications, then after class, you can click here, download it, download the application, connect that way, and then it works better because you don't have to be online all the time. Well, you have to be online, but it works a little bit better. But otherwise, we're going to click on this today, the right side, like the VMware Horizon HTML Access, and we're going to click on that one time. It'll take us to our pipeline login screen. So put in your username and password. most of the times we just use our username. So remember, when you have to buy the application, you have to use the entire username at pipeline.sbc.edu. That's just for purchasing it. Other than that, username and password, and let's log in. And at some point, you'll see this page. If you're at this, once you're at this page, give me a yes. So I know to move forward. All right, so Jessica, are you here? Amber, are you here? All right. Anything I can help you with, Amber? I saw you shook your head.
No, I'm on my other computer from the class a couple weeks ago, just like took a dump. So I'm on a new one and I can't remember my password. So I'm trying to,
The pipeline password?
yeah.
Okay, yeah. And that's the one thing I can't help you with because you know
Yeah.
passwords. So
Just go on without, yeah, I can watch.
you can just watch, or you can disconnect for a minute if you can do it quickly and connect into the Zoom tech support where maybe they can help you recover your password.
No, there's a reset. I'm resetting it. It's fine. I can just
Oh, you're
watch.
resetting it. Okay, good. Okay. All right. So then once you're here, click on student desktop. And that is going to take a little while. Okay. This is basically you got into your car, you're driving to school, and you are arriving at school and opening a computer in the school's lab. And I'm making this example because from now on, you're going to be inside of a computer that is not your computer anymore. Thus, you won't have your files, you won't have anything. It's a school computer that you're opening up. Does that make sense, you guys? It won't have anything that it's a page in the browser, but it's going to look like you're entering a Windows machine, and it is a Windows machine, but it's a school Windows machine. And this one takes a little while, so we're gonna give it a wait. Once you're done with the screen, preparing Windows, and you see the Windows screen open up, give me a yes that you're in there. Okay, and basically since Amber can't do it at this point, it'll be Amber, Anna, and Jessica. And Fabio has his own application, so he doesn't need to do this. So basically once Anna and Jessica tell me that it's working for you, I will continue. So there you go. I am personally on a Mac computer teaching you right now. And yet, as you can see in my browser, the computer that I access through BDI for school is a PC. Since most of you have said you're PC users, I guess this is familiar to you. Now, your screen is going to have only Recycle Bin and Chrome. It's not going to have this other stuff, okay? But that's okay. That's because I have other stuff because I'm faculty. So we're going to wait until screen pops up that says sign in to Google or something like that. It's going to say, and I might have just flipped it off. Give me a second to make sure. See how it takes a while. There we go. See how my mouse is still like, it's slow. When you share your screen and you're accessing VDI, everything slows down. So you might already be here. If and when you are here and the Google Drive thing appears, now we're going to sign in with Google Drive. Okay, so we're going to say sign in with browser. And here you actually need to put your entire email address again, the school one. So you're going to use your username at pipeline.sbcc.edu. Sometimes you can just use your username, but you'll for sure get in if you use the whole thing. So once you do that, you have to say next. You might have gotten an email. If you've never done this, you might get some kind of welcome or something like that. But just ignore that, say next. And at some point, you'll get make sure you download this app from Google, ignore that, and then just say sign in. Here you go. Once you see the success sign right here, give me a yes. I'm going to mute you, Amber, because I think there's some noises in your background, which is fine, but. All right. You're here. Cool. clear my feedback. Now this can be ignored. We can close this completely and you're good to go. Later, when we're done with the class, pretty crucial, and I sometimes forget, people just sign out and I just forget to tell you, we can't just sign out of this. You need to actually first sign out of your Google Drive, then sign out of VDI before you close it. Otherwise, next time you try to connect, you're going to end up with like something that says that your files are corrupted, and it's just because you didn't sign out correctly. So then you have to basically sign out and sign in again. I'll show you that, but just remember not to just close the tab in order to leave, because that'll mess things up. Okay. All right. And hi, Andrea. How are you doing? Let me know when you can hear me. Some more people are beginning to show up. What time is it? Yeah, we're on the second.
Okay.
What's that?
I hear you. Hi, Deanna.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, on my way to visit my son for the
You-
baby shower.
You mentioned that. You mentioned that.
Yeah,
Her
So
first
I'll go-
grandchild. So yeah,
I'll go
just
mute and just listen.
go mute and listen in, but I'm gonna change your name because for attendance purposes, I need to have like your full name up there. So I'll change it for you since you're in the car. There you go. And yeah, I know that you are not actively participating right now and just listening in. That's fine. All right, guys. Andrea has taken this class before and she's actively working in the field, but she now and then shows up to learn new stuff or updates or, you know, refresh skills and stuff like that. So that's why it's okay for her to just kind of listen and for now. When she's back at her computer, she'll participate. All right. So here's the thing. I forgot to mention that this class is being recorded, and let me stop my share. Here, there you go. No, I'm not going to stop my share. Anyway, backtrack. This class is being recorded. You might have been told you're being recorded when you signed in. The good news of that is that when you have to miss a day, or you have to have a doctor's appointment, you have to miss the beginning or miss the ending, or step out because the plumber arrived. I mean, after all, we're home. That's okay, but you will have a link to the class recording, the entire thing, the full on, like, you know, 2 or 3 hours, whatever long we're in class, will be available for you to go catch up. And since that's available, it's an expectation that if you do miss any part of it, that you will watch the recording and maybe skip to the part that you missed. Also, you can use it to refresh something that you're trying to practice at home and it isn't working, right? So, what you can't do is just attend class by watching recordings. Fabio, this is a little bit of the answer I have for you. For better or for worse. We can talk a bit more later, but because of the way this class is non-credit, it's free for you guys, you still are part of a certificate program. And I have to give you a pass or no pass grade. The only way we get paid for your attendance is if you're in class. It's not if you're registered and watching the recordings, that doesn't count. You have to be in class. So if you can't make it to the entire class one day, or like Andrea right now, who is on her way to her baby shower, at least connect to the Zoom recording. You don't even need to stay the whole time, like if you have to leave for half the time. And if you connect to the Zoom recording, that signs in that you were present, and you watch the recording and you do the work and post it in Padlet. I'll tell you how. Then I can say that you attended that class. Does that make sense? So try to at least connect at some point. The negatives is that you'll see to watch the recording and you can't like ask questions. But other than that, that'll still work. But if you don't attend and you just watch recordings, I have to drop you because that means you're not attending. Does that make sense? It's
yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
think I didn't explain myself. What I was saying is just that it
Yeah.
overlaps with another one, but just for the last
Yeah.
20 minutes.
Yeah, I know, which means you can't officially register, which means that
Yeah.
technically I have to say no. I'm
Yeah.
going to talk to the admissions people, because if you can't register, you shouldn't be taking a free class. You can take it again in
Yeah.
the summer. I'll be teaching it in the summer.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. If you,
Mhm.
if you're giving the course again in
Yeah,
the summer, I
I'm
might
teaching it
join
again
then. Yeah.
starting the end of May. So you
All
might
right.
need to do
Yeah, I
that.
guess I'll do
But
that then.
for now,
Yeah.
go ahead and hang out today and I'll see what's gonna happen. Yeah, because when classes
Yeah,
overlap,
of course. But
you
it's fine.
can't-
It's
you
fine
can't
for me if I
officially
can join in the
register.
summer. You know, it's just
Okay.
I mean, it's even better because I
Yeah.
have another class later and it's
Right.
night.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, then you go.
So,
That's probably the best solution.
Mhm.
That way we don't have to I don't have to talk to registration or anything, because I was gonna offer to talk, but they've always said no, really, basically, unless you drop the other class, which you're not gonna do, so. Anyway, all right, so, let me clear your answers. Everyone now is inside of VDI. And you've signed into Google Drive, right? So, in order to access the programs that we're going to use, in this case, we're going to be using Illustrator. You'll go over here down to the bottom left when you see this little Windows icon, start icon. You click on that, and you'll see that all of the applications installed in the computer are here, and you're going to scroll down to Adobe Illustrator. Click on that, and Illustrator will open up. Now, every now and then Illustrator or VDI gets a bit glitchy, and it is slower. So if you have the opportunity and financially it's not a big deal for you to purchase it, I recommend doing that. But if $40 for 6 months or $80 for a whole year is still money that can be better used for something else. If you're just checking to see if you're interested in Illustrator, if this is like a passing thing, then hey, you have access. As long as you're a student, you have access to, not only during the class, like when the class is over, you'll have access to VDI as long as you're an active student. Once every semester, you have to take a class, and you'll have access to VDI, and you can use it this way. The issue is going to be that this is not your computer, so your files aren't here. So if you want to use it, you have to transfer your files to your Pipeline Google Drive, open them up from here, download them into your Pipeline Google Drive, and then bring them back into your computer. So, there's like a couple of complications to use it on your own. But for class, I already put the class files in the Pipeline Google Drive. So for class, it's fine. You'll have access to the files and you'll save in your own drive, and I'll show you how to do it. So if this is what you want to do and your computer can handle it, and Zoom, your connection is fast, then this is a good way to use Illustrator for this class. Okay. I'm looking at the time. What time did I tell everyone else to show up? I've had so many classes starting this week that I'm a bit confused, just to see how much more time I have left. Does anyone remember the stages? Nope. One remembers 1:39. I probably said 1:40, or I said 2. Let me see.
I thought you said an hour.
I took a picture of it. It was 1 to 3:15 and 3:20 to 4:40.
4:40. 3. No, but that's not what I mean. What I mean is what the time here. I told you to
The
come in
email
and
says the official start time
the
is 2.
second time is at 2. So that's just today, by the way. Okay, there we go. This is what I needed. My brain, sometimes I have so many classes starting this week that one starts at 12, one starts at 9, one starts at whatever. So my thought process is when the rest of the group is going to join us is what I wanted to know. In the future, the class does start at 1. Okay, so for the whole group. So I just wanted to clarify that, because now I have a few more things to show you. And one thing I just did, that was a mistake. See, what I just did was wrong. I was in I was inside of VDI, and I went to check something else without leaving this tab. And so now my files might show up as corrupted. I'm going to have to see. This is a bit of a mess that I just did myself, even though I'm teaching you this. So anyway, hopefully it was a short enough time that it didn't corrupt my files. All right. If you need to see, this is my browser, and I went and looked for something else in here in my emails, and thus I left. So from now on, consider this VMware tab unique. Oh, and by the way, see how I have a lot of tabs open? don't do that. If you're having a slow connection and you're on VDI, go ahead and close your other tabs, close any other programs that are running in your computer, but get rid of anything extra that's going to be intense on your system otherwise to run VDI and Zoom at the same time. Does that make sense? And then things might begin to falter. So I have a pretty strong connection. I'm fine. And so I'm going to be fine with this, but I'm actually later I'm going to stop sharing and I'll go ahead and still close these tabs. So I need you to now, so we're going to stop here with Illustrator. I'm not going to teach you anything right now until everyone shows up in class. But I'm going to use the next few minutes to show you how to access the class handouts and the class exercise, you know, the class links to the class recordings that you're going to be able to watch later and stuff like that. Yes, Anna?
We need to Illustrator.
What's that?
Do we need to sign into Illustrator?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, thank you. See, once you sign in one time, you don't have to do it anymore. And since mine didn't show up, I forgot. But yes, you probably got a thing saying sign in to Adobe Creative Cloud. I forgot that. Yes, you sign in with your entire username and pipeline again. So you go ahead and put in your username pipeline.sbc.edu and say, okay. And that's it. That's the one and only time it'll ask you. Next time you connect, it'll know that you have already signed in. Okay. So great question. Thank you. Since it doesn't show up for me, I tend to forget that one. So cool. So now, before I move on, please confirm that you've all been able to open Illustrator, either the one that you have at home or the one that's on VDI. And you have signed into Amazon. Let me check in with Amber. How are you doing with resetting your password and all that? Is it working? Were you able to get in?
I did manage to reset it, and I was able then to get to my email to download the Creative Cloud stuff that I already purchased. And I'm downloading Illustrator to this new computer.
Oh, so you already did the whole purchase. Okay. Awesome. Well, there you go. Then let me know when you're kind of caught up and you have Illustrator open. But as I said, now I'm going to work on showing you where the handouts and all of that, how you access them and where they reside. Fabio, since you're not registered in the class, you will not see them. You won't, we'll try to access them. You won't have them available to you. Okay. But today we don't need to use them. So that's okay. Today we'll be working without actually using class files because we're starting from zero. So here we go. You're going to create a new tab, whichever browser you're using. Click, do not change this. Don't leave VDI is what I'm trying to say. Make sure that you open a new tab on your browser. And in this tab, we're going to go to City College. So we're going to go to sbcc, sbcc.edu and hit enter. Again. I'm going to be asking you guys to clarify every now and then if you're following the steps. And some of you guys are new to City College and this is new to you. And some of you guys are like, yeah, I got this. But let me know if at some point I don't ask you to check in with me, then just stop me. Like Anna did perfectly. She saw something that I hadn't explained and she asked, right? So yeah, you can also speak out. You don't need to. Like raising your hand, sometimes I might not notice it. It's like if you have a long question, but if it's just something that's showing up that you don't see, you can just speak up and say, hey, I'm seeing that, you know, so you're welcome to speak up with certain questions. Okay, so here we're going to click on the P for pipeline. And once you're inside a pipeline, we're going to access our student tab, student resources. Click on student resources. On the right side, some of you have to scroll to the side. If you have a smaller screen, you will see there's access to the school's Google Drive. So even if you have a personal Google account, this is the school's pipeline Google Drive. Click on that. And if you've never used your Google Drive, your pipeline Google Drive, you're going to get all of these little welcome, let me show you how to use this kind of thing. You can exit all of those. But if you have used it, then you'll have whatever is yours in the My Drive portion. It's your stuff. In order to get the class files, you have to go to shared drives. So click on shared drives. Stop me if I'm leaving anyone behind. If you're following through, that's fine, but if not, stop me. Under shared drives, I have a ton of drives that I share, but you should have one, which is the Illustrator one, unless you're in another one of my classes. So you should see this Illustrator shared drive. If you're not registered in the class like Fabio, you will not see it, but everyone else should see it. So please give me a yes if you do see it, because sometimes there's an issue with the account and you might not see it. If that's a yes, let me know. Cool. So then double click on the Illustrator shared drive to open it up. And here we go. These are, we have access to class handouts. And give me a yes once you're here, Anna. Fabio said you can't access them. Andrea's in the car. So
I think I've got it.
you're here, okay. And Amber, this part, you also need your password, right? Your school password, because it's the pipeline. So again, I'm not sure if you're there yet, but I'll
I
let
was
you.
able to reset that, so that's fine. I think now I was installing, so I didn't see which web address
Oh,
you
okay.
started with.
All right,
Is
so
this just in pipeline?
SBC's pipeline, yeah.
Okay.
Just go to pipeline. And then once you get to pipeline and you sign in under student resources, that's where you click on Google Drive here on the right. And then once you get into your Google Drive, you'll go to shared drives. Shared drives, then you'll find the Illustrator folder there. All right. Okay, so right now there's a couple of handouts that I want to point you to. You guys are doing great. There's been no big issues. Sometimes people who come in this first part have a lot of like complications with VDI or this or that. So sometimes I don't even get around to this until, you know, the starting of the next group. But since everyone seems to be moving forward pretty well, Amber's seems to be solving her own conflicts. Then let me show you a couple of the most important handouts that I want you guys to access. First of all, if you have anything up here, you might or not have something up here. You might just have, the first thing you see is folders and files. These are going to start appearing once you start opening files, and then this is your last things that you've opened, right? So until you open files, you might not have anything there. But we're not going to deal with the folders right now. This is to download class files. We're going to hold off on that because we won't do this until next class. There's nothing to catch up on because, you know, we haven't yet caught up. And in fact, I think I still have catch up files from last session and there I need to clean it up. But under files, the first one you should see here is Zoom class recordings, right? So let's double click on that one. And this is where I will be posting the link to each class. So like today is day 1 and today is April 6th. So by tomorrow morning, there should be a link here that will take you to a private video on YouTube that you can only access through this link, where you will see the full-on recording of this whole class, okay? And then day 2, one after the 2. So by the time we're done, you should have all of the classes, class recordings here. There's also access to videos that show you how to use VDI and how to get to Creative Cloud and basically the kind of stuff. But you first need to get here to reach these links. So anyway, okay, now these things open up in a separate tab always. So I'm gonna click back on the Illustrator tab, and the next one that I want to be aware of is the one that has my Illustrator shortcuts. I will be using this time to teach a lot about shortcuts. There's some of you guys are completely new to the program and you're like, I don't know anything about these shortcuts. And so if you want something to be printed at all these handouts, the one to print out would be this one, and to have it near your computer keys so that you can remind yourself of how to use the shortcuts when I'm not in, in class. I'll be saying do Command Z, Command D, Command whatever, but when you're at home practicing or doing homework or stuff, this would be a good one to remember the shortcuts. These are the commands for people who use a Mac. These are the commands for people who use a PC. As you can see, it's the same, but one hits the command, one hits the control key. Anyway, so this would be a good one if you want to download it and print it. That would be the one to download and print. I'm going to back out of here. In class, you won't need it because I'll be reminding you. And then the last one that I want us all to look for is the one about how you're going to submit your class work during class, after class, and during the week. So if you keep scrolling down, one of these is how to use Padlet. You're going to submit things through Padlet. So double click on this one here, and I'll tell you a bit about Padlet. Has anyone used Padlet before? Give me a yes. If you've never used Padlet before, give me a no. I know you've used it in class, Fabio, but I don't know about everyone else. And Andrea, I think I was not using Padlet. Yeah, I see you wrote, I was not using Padlet last time you took this class. So, good. Looks like you're able to listen in because, you know, you were able to answer there. So cool. All right. So here's the deal. Remember I told you that this class you can only take if you are actively participating? Well, at the beginning of the Zoom times, a lot of people would watch the class and maybe do this stuff, but I couldn't tell because if they didn't have a problem for which they needed to share their screen, I wouldn't see the work that they were doing, right? Like I can't see your computers unless you share your screen. So I couldn't tell if you were participating. Now, one thing I want to say, not to make anyone uncomfortable, but if you're in a position in your home, in your background, with people who are there, where it is possible to turn on your video, it is so much nicer for me when I feel like I'm talking to people instead of to a bunch of black boxes, because I don't even know who's there. And you know, when you talk, you kind of react off of people's faces, if they're puzzled or if they're curious or if they're happy or if they're sad. So I'm not asking you to turn them on if, you know, you've got a lot going on in the background or stuff like that. But if you can, and you ever feel like, hey, for the next half hour, it's okay to turn it on, please do so, then turn it off. That is vastly more user-friendly as for me as a teacher. So, but the problem is that a lot of the times people could just be sitting there watching TV and not doing the work, and I wouldn't know if their Zoom was off. So I had to start asking for people to show me their work. And this is how you show me your work, through Padlet. So during the whole class, we're going to be doing work in Illustrator. I'm going to model something, you're going to do it, you're going to finish it, and then you're going to do a screenshot and post it on Padlet. So we're going to do that during the class, and then at the end, when we're done, we'll make sure everything is posted. Here's how we do it. If you followed through with me and opened this handout and you have it available, then you can just click on this link and it'll take you to Padlet. Otherwise, I'm going to post this link in the chat. So right now in the chat, you have a link that will take us to Padlet. So go ahead and click on the link in the chat or click on the link in the handout. And here's our Padlet. Now, doesn't look like much right now. Give me a yes once you reach Padlet. All right, once you're in Padlet, give me a good old yes. Oh, hold on, I think someone's at my door. It might be FedEx. Oh, give me a second. No. If it was FedEx, I missed it. Here. Yes. Come over here. I'm on a call. Yeah. Oh shoot! I'm on a Zoom call teaching a class right now. What's that?
Oh, I'm sure because there's an appointment scheduled today, if you wonder why.
I said that I couldn't at that time, but
Oh, okay.
the whole
I'm
point
sorry.
is though, it's really flickering and being a problem, but I've got like students in class right now, so I need to,
Okay.
I don't know, repost it, or can you look into it with the background or something, but you can't really tinker with it because I'm in
Yeah.
class.
We really have to talk about this.
What?
Because I have to disconnect it. Checks it.
Can you send me a link or something to reschedule? Because I sent a link saying that time didn't work for me.
Gotcha, okay, I apologize, okay, yeah, it'll be a text message. and it'll have-
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much. Oh, sorry, guys, that was a total snafu. I have been having issues with my connection, and I had requested someone to come and help me. And unbeknownst to me, they set an appointment for right now. And I said, I can't. I'm on Zoom right now. I can't disconnect. So that was the service technician. So I apologize for that. What a mess. Anyway, we'll have to reset the thing. I don't usually ever talk to anyone when I'm in class. I don't know. Here we go. All right. So Amber, I see you came in with your other computer, and then Jessica, looks like you had dropped out and you're in now. Okay. Cool. So sorry, I had left you staring at this blank Padlet page. Jessica, was that a connection problem that you dropped out, or something happened, or?
My computer like restarted or something.
Yeah. Oh, well, sometimes I just wanted to make sure that you're still connected, but if your computer restarted and you're already in VDI, you might have, it might flicker on you, but we'll see. Once we get back to VDI, we'll check in your connection. Okay. So I am sharing the Illustrator Padlet, and let me now show you what this is all about. First of all, this is an empty one because it's for our class, so no one has posted anything yet. I'm going to show you, for example, what the Padlet for our last Illustrator class looks like. So this is the fall Illustrator class. And in the, nope. This is an example, and that it just reset itself. But this is work that was turned in during the class, right? By people who are in class. So that's what our Padlet is going to look like by the time we're done. So my expectation is that this empty Padlet will be full of screenshots of your work. So first, let me show you how to do screenshots and how to post the screenshots. Now, first of all, I think no one's on a Mac here right now. Fabio, you're all on PCs except for Andrea, but she's on her phone.
I'm on a
PC,
Mac.
yes.
Anna, you're on a Mac?
Yeah.
All right, so on a Mac, let me show you first because it's really easy how to do a screenshot. I'm going to go ahead and do a screenshot of this, right? Say that this was the work I just finished on a Mac. You go ahead and hold down your, it's like three things on your keyboard. Go ahead and hold down the Shift key, the Command key, and the 4, the number 4. So that's 3 keys. Once you do that, see how your mouse turns into a little, how do you call this? A bullseye thing. Then with that mouse, you kind of select what you want to, the work that you need to show me, and let go. Once you do that, that screenshot has been recorded and it's going to be waiting for you on your desktop, right? So you'll be doing this during class. You're going to be recording the things that you do. Then with that screenshot in your desktop, you're going to go to the Padlet. You're going to click on this plus sign. And over here, the first thing you need to do is you need to write your name, because there's no other way for me to know who it's from, because you're using this anonymously. And then you can either, if you see your desk screenshot, you can just drag it in here, or you can click on this first little icon and go to your desktop and click on the screenshot, the one that you just took, and say open, and it'll get posted right here. You can also write sometimes I really love it when some people write the techniques they've applied or they've learned or what tool, or they remind themselves that I did this and that, you know, so they write whatever they did in it, or they ask me a question, right? And then you just say publish. So then there it'll go. Yeah. Oh, cool. That's great. Hi, Moni, by the way, you just popped in. Nice to see you again. So I'm showing Padlet, which I know you know how to use already. So I'm almost done with the introducing the new students to the class systems. And anyway, let me just show you, if you're on a PC, how you do your screenshots. So I'm going to go to VDI because this is my PC computer. And on a PC, so for all of these who are on a PC, by the way, right now, Anna, make a screenshot because you're on a Mac of anything, of your background, of your desktop, and post it in Padlet, okay? I'm going to put the Padlet link here again in case for people who just joined us, the link to our Padlet is, I'm putting it in the chat right now. So go ahead, Anna, and do your first post in Padlet. And then for people who are on a PC, how you do a screenshot on a PC is you head down to the search box, right? And then write snip. You can write the word snip, like for the snipping tool. And here the snipping tool will appear. Go ahead and make that, select that snipping tool choice, and it'll open up. Now, the way it works on a PC, and there's actually a shortcut, but you click on the word new, a new snip, right? And see how everything kind of got grayed out? It's okay. What it's waiting for me is to do the same thing we did before. I need to select the area I want to post. So now I'm going to select this area. And notice that even if it's behind the thing that's there, I'm going to select the same area that I did before. And once I let go, instead of saving itself automatically, you have to go and say File, Save, right? And you can give it a name and you can save it wherever you want. So I'm going to save it in the desktop of my PC. So I'm going to go to this PC and save it on the desktop. So you just, I think there's someone told me that there's a shortcut for it to go straight to the desktop on the PC. I need to find out. There you go. I'm saving it on the desktop and I'm going to say save. Yeah, okay, cool. So that's the snipping tool. And if you need me to repeat that, let me know. Otherwise, if you manage to do that successfully, then you can post that on the PC. Now, if you're on VDI, like I am, right, then you have your, you could do this not inside of VDI like me. Like if you were on a PC, sorry, not if you're on VDI, if you're on a PC, right, then do this with your real one, not inside of VDI, because here you don't have the link to the Padlet, right? It's more complicated. You can do that, but if you, instead you're doing it within your own snipping tool in your own desktop, then you can go over to Illustrator and upload it that way. Letting some more people in. Okay, so if that worked, please post your photos. If you are confused about any of the instructions, I can give you a bit more of a demo on the PC side. I am seeing 2 people posting, well, me and Anna. So anyone else who needs more instructions on how to post, please let me know. Hi, Molly. Nice to see you. So Molly and Moni, can you go ahead and post to the Padlet if you remember how to do it from the other class? I'm putting the link in the chat for Padlet. I'm not sure, Molly, have you used the Padlet before? Yeah, right? And
I think so. I'm
Yeah.
gonna try it. I'll try right now.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I just posted the link, and go ahead and do a screenshot of anything right now. It doesn't need to be of Illustrator. It can be just, you know, a little empty spot on your, I just want you to practice submitting by clicking on this plus sign and going to find the file you want to submit and just say post. That's all it takes. Okay. Give me a yes once you've done it, although I can see you, but give me a no if you're running into trouble and you need help with it, because that's for the way for me to know that I need to give you a hand. Okay. There we go. There's Moni. So Amber and Jessica, all right. So someone just posted, and see how it says anonymous. So if you think you just posted this and this is you, go over here, click on these 3 little dots, say edit, and then put your name in there so that I can know who posted this one. Okay. Because see how up here people have been writing their names. If not, I wouldn't know who has been doing their work if it posts as anonymous, right? So it's probably, I'm assuming it's either Molly, Jessica, or Amber. If you think you just posted this, there you
Where
go.
do I
Jessica.
put my name?
Perfect. So when you're gonna go and post it, where it says subject, just write your name,
Okay.
name here,
Okay.
and then post it. And then again, at this point, no one yet has written anything, but you can say, I worked on this at home and I got in trouble with this, or, hey, this is successful, or this is not successful, right? It's like, as I said at the top, please post your images or anything you want to share. Successes and failures are all welcome. I really want to mention that failures sometimes are better for you. A lot of people who just follow through and do it all correctly when they're on their own, they might have a harder time because they haven't had to run into the what if. So push yourself, right? When I'm showing something that you already know how to do, push yourself to do it a bit more or a bit differently. You'll see that I'll have files available for people who are done with the basic stuff, and I'm helping some people. They can move on to something a little bit more advanced while everyone catches up. Okay. So Amber and who's missing? Molly. Yeah, Amber and Molly, were you able to post, or are you running into any?
I'm not missing.
Oh, Amber, right there. Okay, so is everyone there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, so Molly is the only one. I was counting one extra because I was counting myself. Sorry. I was like, wait. And yet I was posting. Okay, so Molly, if you run into troubles and you don't remember how to post, remind me and we'll get there. So, and I'll help you. Remind me and I'll help you in a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to stop my share for a second. It's now 2:08. We have actually all my classes this session are very over full. This is my only class that is not. I have a lot of people who love taking my classes and sign up, but this one wasn't assigned to me until about a week or 10 days ago. Long story short, there's only 15 people total signed up, of which there's always 1 or 2 who never show up. So I'm not expecting a huge crowd, but I am expecting a few more people, and 2 people that I know can't make it today will be here next week. So this might be it for today. Yeah, let me look. There's about 3 more people that I should expect to show up, but it is 2 p.m., which is the time we said everyone else should sign in. So I am going to say that I am done waiting, and I'm done teaching all the stuff that all the people need to know aside from Illustrator. So I am going to begin with the class. Now, for better or for worse, I love it when more people learn, but on the other hand, the times I have a small group, it's really cool because you get to really ask much more in-depth questions, and I can really get into your assignments and do stuff like that much more in depth. So, hey, if this is it, then that is perfect. I've had a class last fall that was small too, and it was kind of, and I think the one you were in, Fabio, the Photoshop for web design, which was really small, and it was actually really fun. I'm accustomed to having 30 people, right? So it's good when I do occasionally have a small class, I get to explore a few more features. So I'm going to get started. And thank you, Amber. I so enjoy seeing your face. And as I said before, Moni or Molly didn't hear me, but if there's ever a chance for you guys to actually feel comfortable turning on the video, even if now and then, it thoroughly makes a difference to my psyche. Have you ever had to speak to nothingness? It's hard. Thank you. Thank you. And again, it's okay. I understand you don't want to be like on all the time. I have to be on all the time. But if you see now and then that I've got like, I don't want to keep asking you guys, but if you see now and then there's just a lot of blocks, just think of poor little me and give me a little face. Thank you. I feel bad because I don't want to make you feel bad. It's okay if you don't want to or can't show. But wow, seeing your smiling faces and little flowers there behind Moni, your painting of the ocean there, some awesome blur behind Anna. I don't care what I'm looking at. It's just faces. Okay. So, all right. And I like the ceiling on your room, by the way, Anna. That's kind of cool. But I don't normally comment on people's backgrounds. I don't want you to feel bad. It's just that it feels so. I relax. I suddenly relax when I see people. So suddenly I'm like all excited that I'm
Are
seeing
your
you guys.
Anna, are your classes in person full?
No. You
The
mean
digital-
the digital
yeah.
magazine and
Yeah.
newsletter? Yeah. No, those again, just like this one, were just assigned to me, and there are very few people signed up. I haven't checked after the email I sent if some people have signed up. So you all probably got the email that I said that there's the digital design technique starting this Friday. That one is over full, but if you're in this class, I can let you sign up for that one because it really works in conjunction with this one. So if you can do Friday mornings, that one, you won't be able to sign up your own because it says full, but I can sign a paper to let them sign you up. That's still online, but my producing a newsletter and a digital magazine, I think are the names of them, and creating compelling content. Those three are in person. They haven't been taught during the pandemic. So since they've not been taught for all this time, we never did the paperwork to be able to teach them online. And the state is very, against offering, you need to follow the rules. And so it might take a whole year to give them permission from me to be able to offer them online again. So those are being offered, but in person. Right now I'm teaching a lot of HyFlex classes where I'm at school and some people attend online and some in person. And I asked if I could teach them in HyFlex mode, but no, they're pretty strict that I have to teach them in person. So they are not full, and they're going to be awesome classes, and they're starting the last couple weeks of the semester in May. So if you want to know more about that, I'm going to still fight the HyFlex. Maybe I can still offer the HyFlex mode. If so, I'll let you guys know for those of you who don't want to attend in person. And for those of you who want to attend in person or can, then yeah, let me know and I'll tell you more about those classes. All right. Thanks for asking, Molly. Let me see. First and foremost, I need to know your experience or otherwise with with Illustrator. So just as a quick little yes or no, give me I'm looking here for a link that I'm going to give you, but please give me a quick answer. If you have used Illustrator before, give me a yes. If you have not used Illustrator before, give me a no. Moni, you've not been in my digital design techniques either. I know you're in my Photoshop and in my Photoshop for the web, but somehow I visualized you in the digital design techniques one. Okay. All right. Wow. This is a newbie. Most people have not. Molly, do you remember where the reactions are? The yeses and the nos? It's the little smiley face button in the bottom of the screen. There we go. Now the thumbs up disappears in 3 seconds. That's why you'll see that it'll suddenly disappear. When I kind of want to make sure the whole class is answering, I need you to, on the same thing, go in and check on the yes, which is green check mark, or no, which is the red circle. And those are going to stay. Cool. So you have taken one of my Illustrators class before. All right. Or you used it somewhere else. I'm not sure. Have you taken it with me or have you used it somewhere else, Molly?
I've taken a bunch with you.
No, I know, but the Illustrator.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
retaking it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So here's the thing, since this is a non-credit class, you can retake it as long as you want. You already saw Andrea who had to disconnect as the car ran out. Every now and then people come back and refresh their skills, know more. And if you're totally new, which it looks like this group is mainly new, which is really uncommon. Most of the times I have about half and half people who have used Illustrator or not. So this is cool because you'll all be at a very similar level. So this is actually kind of fun. Not only is it a small group, but you'll be at a relatively similar level. Sometimes I have people so widely different level, and I still make it work. It still works really well because people, when they take this class again, they have a foundation, and then they get a lot more out of the second, go around. But give me a quick moment. Take 3 minutes to click on the link that I just sent you in the chat. It's a survey. It's a quick survey of your past experience. Most of you will basically say no, but maybe you have experience with some other programs. So just give me an idea of what you're here for. I'm also going to ask you in person now if you have a goal or a particular project, but go ahead and click on that link. Answer it rather quickly. There's a few of us. When there's a lot of people, this is the best way, but there was only a few of us here. I want to know more about what you're up to and why you want to learn Illustrator, what you want to get out of the class. And it could be just, hey, I'm curious to have this whole project or my new job, or I want to have a business, like whatever it is that you're up to as to why you're here in class. So if anyone wants to share, or if you want to share after you're done, once you're done submitting the survey, please give me a little yes, so I'll know to continue. Just concerned because Fabio, you got this link, which you shouldn't have. And there's quite a few people who didn't make it here. So I'm wondering if I sent the invitation to the wrong group of people, but I'm gonna look and see, make sure there's no overlap. Did I send this to? No, there's no overlap. Fabio, you're in my digital design techniques class though. So how did you get this link? I'm just so curious about how this worked out and whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I double checked that I'm listed, and I mean the email I received, I'm listed as a BCC, so it's just like a hidden copy or something. I don't know why is this normal or not.
Because I'm overlapping and I'm noticing no, because Anna's not in my digital design techniques and Jessica isn't either. That means that I did send the Illustrator students the invitation to today's class. But I was suddenly wondering if maybe I'd overlapped and send it. Maybe today's reminder did y'all get an email today with a reminder link? Moni got it. And Moni, you're in my other class. Oh my God. I must have sent the reminder link every morning, every Friday, every Thursday morning, you'll get a link with a reminder for today's link. And
I got today's.
Oh, you did get, no,
Oh,
but
wait,
you're
but
in
I'm
the,
in-
you're also
I'm
in
in
the
it
other
too.
class.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Only
I didn't
the
get one.
two. So that's what's happening, because when I don't send a reminder link, people don't know to go back about a week ago, I sent them, oh my God. Okay, I figured it out because both of you who got it, Amber, Moni, and Fabio, who is not in this class, are here. And yet a lot of the new people from the other class aren't here. So I'm gonna go ahead right now and give me a second. I'm gonna send the correct list, the link for today, telling them, hope you can make it. And then hopefully someone else joins us, which, wow, give me a sec, guys, sorry. I don't even want to like give a break because there's not time for break yet, but I need to do this because this is really strange. People then tell me if I can't make it, you know? So I'm just gonna copy paste and wow. Yeah. Wow. I'm glad I figured this out, by the way, because
And the survey asks for an email, but what email are we supposed to use?
I don't think it asks for emails. Does it? It says, what's your name? Did I ask for email?
Above the name, and mine it says email.
Oh. I don't need your email. Okay, I'll need to go check the survey, but let me, here we go. That was a major faux pas. All right, I just sent out the reminder to everybody. You'll probably be getting it saying, hey, you haven't signed in again. I just did it to the whole class. Ignore it if you get that. I'm like, hey guys, please sign in if you forgot. So I'm done. Now we'll continue with the class, and whoever got it, and whoever didn't, then that was just my bad. And that's all we can do. All right. And I somehow managed to do this on top of my VDI. All right. Okay. Yeah, I was shocked. It's shocking how even though people know they have class, if they don't get a reminder link, they just forget to come to class. All right, Jessica, your hand is up.
I was confused by the email thing.
Oh, what, did you get the email or what's the question?
No, it's on the survey, it asks for an email.
It asked for an email again? Jesus, that.
Did you fix it or something?
I think you can use either your private or your city college.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that it asks. I'm gonna have to clean that up, and I'm clicking on the link myself now to see it. Oh, it does say your email. Yeah, it's required, so you can't undo it. So just put any email there. Just write anything, right? Da da da, and it'll let you continue because it's a question that I don't need your email. I just need to know who you are. So I'll have to fix that in the form. In fact, I think I can go in and fix it right now. I'm gonna go and fix it right now. I'm gonna delete that question so that change the settings. Assign. Oh, no, it's not one of my questions. It's an actual setting. You have to give it an email or it won't. Let me undo. Okay, I have now changed that. I don't know if you're already doing it. if it's going to let you. I've refreshed it, but if the question is still there, if you refresh your site, hopefully that has disappeared. And if not, just put in your email. That was a mistake, and I should go check that my other surveys don't ask for it, because it should let everyone respond. All right. Did it refresh? Do you guys? Probably since you're already in it, it doesn't really refresh. I'm gonna go make sure that. Yeah, see the digital ID things, Photoshop, none of them asked for email. I don't know why that one still had that question. Oh, well, sorry. Okay. Thanks for pointing out that, yeah, the way it was set up, you couldn't send it without the required email. So my bad. All right, so let's get started with Illustrator. So first of all, it's so cool that most of you have not used it before, because this is just such a cool program with so many possibilities. And what I don't want to, since there's so few of us here, I don't want to sit there and watch your responses, surveys. I want you to tell me right now why you are here. So just speak up. What do you want to learn? And if it's just, hey, just interested, or something really, really important, I want to hear, because especially with such a small group, people who know me from before, I tend to tailor my class towards things that people say they're up to. So when someone's telling me they're working on their, businesses logos, I'll make sure to put that kind of examples in, and so on and so forth. So, but if instead you're creating, a website, so tell me what you're up to or why you're in the class. Who wants to start? Yeah, Moni?
So my thing is I really want to create some art. And so I've been doing the Photoshop to understand about, like the cutting and all that things that we did. And now I want to learn the Illustrator part eventually to help to put them together.
Awesome.
So,
yay. Thank you. It's fun having you. And
I enjoy it.
all of the different Adobe classes. All right.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, Amber.
Hi. I want to gain sort of a basic, competent graphic design knowledge. And as a first project for this class, I'm hoping to pull together an impressive looking and well-designed sort of portfolio, because I'm looking for jobs right now. So I have done so many cool projects over the years. A lot of those photos are lost. So I want to pull together what I have and make sure that I have something to present that shows 18 years of cool stuff somehow.
But thank you. Let me ask some follow-up. When you say you've done cool stuff, you mean with digital design or with art?
No,
like what
as
kind
an
of
event,
projects are you talking about?
I was a corporate event manager, or have been, so I'm applying for jobs, but a lot of really conveying the scale of my work would be better conveyed in imagery. And so I don't have something that looks polished that can do that really quickly.
So you basically are trying to create a presentation of your past work, not of your design work, but of your events work. So like how to present photos of the events you've handled, that kind of thing. So it's like a marketing business presentation.
Yeah.
Or is it more like a resume?
It would be almost like a newsletter or something that's like very photo heavy sort of PDF portfolio. So a few pages that show the images of the different styles of events that I've done. Perfect.
I always get, it's so interesting to me to know what people are up to. And this was, I have not heard before, so love it. Let me say that beyond Illustrator, you should be taking, you are in my digital techniques class. There you go. So you got it. You got the right combo. So yeah.
I want to take all of them.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Great knowing that. All right, Anna. Yeah.
Go. I don't really know all the capabilities of Illustrator, but I want to make logos and turn my art, like drawings of plants, into a vector format that I can use to make pins and buttons and things.
Wonderful. Yes, Illustrator is definitely a place to do that. So are you someone who creates a lot of art, let's say non-digital?
Yeah,
Up until
mostly
now?
just line drawings on paper and
Mhm. Cool. Yes, vector art. This is the class to learn to do that. If on top of that, a lot of people who take this class do, oil painting or whatever, in which case I also recommend things like Photoshop, where you can then work on your image and then bring it into Illustrator to vectorize it and stuff like that. So yeah, cool. Yeah, you'll definitely learn that and more, but perfect. Good place. And make sure to, if you have a chance, to post some examples of those into the Padlet so that I can see what it's working for. And in fact, if you're open to this, something that I always offer, you don't have to, is you can send me a file that I can post as a class example that we can all work on, so that you're actually working on one of your pieces. But if we do that, everyone has to be able to work on that one because it's a class project, right? But if not, you can just put them up for us to see what you're up to and then show us how you are digitizing them, right?
okay.
So that would
Cool.
be great. You're welcome. Jessica?
I guess I just thought it looked really cool. I like drawing like animals and stuff, so maybe something related to that would be cool.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, nothing better than learning just because you want to learn, right? I'm like, I never know enough. I always want to keep learning. So cool. Molly?
I'm working on our business cards and some things.
For your own business?
Yes, I have to redesign some business things and I have to
Okay.
relearn it again. So that's it.
Okay, cool. And then Fabio, the guy who shouldn't be here, but who is here?
Yeah. I'm just exploring the Creative Cloud apps, and I've been using Lightroom for a few years now, and so just trying to get into the Photoshop and improve my mainly photography workflow, but a graphic design might come useful.
Cool.
So yeah.
Wonderful. Might come in handy, of course.
Yeah.
You can never know too much of Adobe programs because they're all
Yes.
like the industry standard,
much
right?
to
So
know.
whatever
Yeah.
you are gonna get into in one way or another might have a need for one of them. So anyway, great. Thanks for sharing, everyone. As I said, some people actually want to work on their own class files in class. If you do that, I can only support you as long as everyone is working with that file. Just to finally explain a little bit more what I told Anna. But you're welcome to, like, if I'm explaining something and you're doing really well, right? And then you want to be practicing on your own files on the side while I'm helping another person or something like that, you're welcome to do that. And then to ask me, well, I'm trying to apply that to this and I don't know how, in which case, yes, post things onto Padlet, and then you not only the schoolwork you're doing, like during class, but then also give me a little screenshot of what you're trying and say, I tried to do that thing you taught me there, but in this one it is or isn't work. You know what I'm trying to say? Saul isn't here in this class, but he's always posting some really cool stuff that he's working on the side. And then Linda, another one who comes, says, I'm always amazed by what you guys are up to on your own, how you apply the techniques I teach you. But here in class, we're going to work on the same files all at the same time, so that when I tell you how to do something, you'll all be doing the same thing, and then we'll move forward that way. And then I have both Mac and PC Illustrator opened up. I have both programs because I'm on a Mac and I'm on VDI. So there's very, very few things in Illustrator that'll ever be different, and it's mostly the shortcuts, and I'll be telling you. But now and then I have a VDI glitch. If I have a VDI glitch and I can't share the Illustrator file, this happens more with some advanced techniques in Photoshop, I can always revert to showing you it on my Mac version. But for those of you who are on a Mac, if you see something that looks different, which it might look slightly different now and then, just warn me and I'll show you what it should be like on a Mac, okay? For you Mac people. All right, so at this point, everyone should have Illustrator open. and hopefully your VDI hasn't yet, sometimes when you sit still for too long without using it, sometimes VDI kind of self closes. So hopefully you're all still, those of you who are on VDI are still on it, right? If so, you should be in this window. Sometimes you get another little welcome window if it's your first time and you have to close it out or stuff like that. In the rest of my Adobe classes, you will learn another program called Bridge. I teach it in all of the digital techniques. I teach it in Photoshop. I teach it in a lot of stuff. Illustrator is the only class that I teach without it because it isn't absolutely necessary to this class. So if you are one of the people who has taken one of my classes where I've used Bridge, I prompt you and support you in using Bridge to access files and stuff like that, just to keep all of your files incorporated in the system. But for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, you'll find out once you take one of my other classes, right? So just Photoshop is all you need right now. So we are not going to start with any existing file. We're going to create a new file to start with. And go ahead and click on the word new file, which looks a tad different on the Mac than on a PC. I'm looking actually right now, it looks the same. It used to look a bit different. It doesn't even look different. And when you do that, you're going to get this little window here that says new document. Now, for those of you who have used any other, I forgot to ask you guys. One thing I forgot to ask you is how many of you, give me a yes if you've used other Adobe programs. Like, let me just say, if you've used Photoshop, say yes if you used Photoshop before. Just to have an idea of what Adobe background you might have. Okay. Many of you said yes, Anna, and I'm no, and I'm assuming Jessica's a no because of what you just said, but maybe you used it before. All right. And then any other Adobe program. Some of you have used maybe Premiere or InDesign or Bridge or maybe you're doing sound or animation. If any of that sounds like something you've done before, give me a yes. And all right, so most of you guys is probably with me in design or stuff like that. Or Photoshop. Okay, so for those of you who have used an Adobe program before, you'll recognize a lot of the way the program presents itself is the same. So like there's just like the learning curve becomes lower. For those of you for whom this is totally new, know that you will have much easier time when you do learn or access other programs because this like opening screen of new document is pretty much the same for everyone. And what happens here is you have to make a choice initially. It's so important in things like in other programs, like in Photoshop and Premiere. It's so important that you set this up right or ahead of time. In Illustrator, it's a bit more lenient in that if you don't set it up correctly up here, it's easier to change it. So say that you're creating a flyer, but you instead clicked on web, right? And you didn't notice. And what you created is a file ready for web page. It's not complicated to switch it back. But if you were to do that, say in Photoshop, that would have a lot of meaningful issues, right? So why is that? Because Illustrator is a program that doesn't work on anything that already exists. You create it from scratch. So like Photoshop, you mostly works based on a photo that's already existing. Premiere on video you've already shot, audio on audio that exists, so there's all this stuff that exists already versus Illustrator is specifically a program you create from scratch. At most, you might scan in some work that you've already done. For example, the plant illustrations, so that's from scratch. But then you turn it into an illustration inside of Illustrator, into a vector file inside of Illustrator to work on it. So the whole conversation about vector files is what makes a difference. Vector files are computer created material, and thus the computer can modify them willy-nilly because it's not based on anything external. So a photograph, you're limited by how many pixels the camera shot, in video, what format you shot your video in. But in Illustrator, you can make a logo that's like this tiny because you designed it for some reason, 1 inch by 1 inch. And then you discover that you need to put your logo on like a big billboard on the highway, and that's fine. You can stretch it to billboard size and it doesn't lose any clarity. It is perfectly usable because the computer can always recalculate its calculations, right? So it is infinitely scalable, we call it. You can make it big and small as many times as you want, never losing quality or precision. Thus, if you make something for a different format, it's more lenient with your mistakes, and you can change it because in the end, it's infinitely scalable, right? So ideally, though, you would first choose what you're going to do for it. Let's say that we're first going to do something for print. Now, this is your end product, right? So what you decide here is your end product. A lot of the times, what you do is going to be for print and web, like Amber's doing that portfolio of her past work. She wants it to be on a PDF, that she can show to clients. But at some point, she might also want to create a little printout of something so that when she meets with the client, she can hand them something. So many times, the same thing what you design needs to have different outlets, right? Final outputs. If so, you always want to start with print. If you know that what you're going to do is solely going to be used in a digital format way, you don't need to go there. But if there's any chance it's going to have to be at some point printed out, print is where you have more of the requirements and restrictions. So it's a great way to start there. And then it's easy to convert it to anything else, right? So I'm going to have us start at print. And it's a little bit too soon to explain to you what changes down here when you do that. You'll get it pretty soon. But for now, just trust me that when you don't know what your output is going to be, and if there's a chance it's going to be printed, that's a good beginning choice. Oh, there you go. Someone must have just gotten the email because someone is joining us who is new to our class. I'm going to stop my share for a second so that she sees me and not a share. Hi, Susan. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, there you go. Hi, Susan.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Did you just get a reminder email that I sent?
Yes, I did. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. It was my mistake. I sent the reminder email to the wrong class. So people from the wrong class showed up today. And I was just curious. So I finally, an hour into class, figured it out and sent it to you. So here's what I'm going to say. This class is being recorded.
Oh,
So
great.
I'm going to send you the link to the recording and you can catch up on the whole first
Sure.
hour or
Sure.
hour and a half by now. Okay, so just it was my fault. So I completely apologize for not having sent the reminder.
So I'll just listen where you are.
That's what I'm going to say. But quick question, just for me to know, even though I know you're going to have to listen now because it's hard to catch up. Have you ever used Illustrator before?
Yes.
And do you have Illustrator available to you?
Yes.
Yes to both. Awesome.
Yes.
You're like 10, 25 steps ahead. Great.
Maybe.
Well,
I can't say I've used it successfully.
That's fine. That's fine. But this is not new.
So I'll just listen.
And mainly you have it. So yeah, listen in and then you can do the work with the recording. Right. I was in the middle of sharing my screen and we were beginning to, I've been catching up with things about the class up until now. So right now is the first time we're actually doing something in Illustrator. So I'm going to share my screen again. I stopped because I wanted to make sure you had an idea of what was happening. And now we're going to continue there. So we're in the new document portion of Illustrator. And we have chosen to say that we're going to print something. So by default, the first choice is to make a letter size piece of paper. Now, you only know that because it says letter, because underneath, instead of saying in size like 8.5 by 11, it says 612 by 792 points. So that's a sizing scale that we use only in design. You've seen points before, like when you choose a Times New Roman 12 points and for your letter, for your word, or for something like that, right? That's a point. And it's a design-based scale. Most people don't really understand how big that might be or not. So what we're going to do first is we're going to change this here, click on points, and let's shift the scale to inches. Now, I'm never really got to introduce myself because I launched into all these things, but I'm from Argentina. And so for me, centimeters is the thing and inches are bizarre, but you know, whatever. I'm gonna get off my high horse. As a designer here, I've had to learn my inches. But notice that as soon as I say inches here, how this went to 8.5 by 11, which we all recognize as letter size. Now, let me go ahead and change one of these choices. Let's say that I'm going to make it be a square. So let's do an 11 by 11. So I'm going to leave the height as it is, and I'm going to go ahead and type in 11 right there, which means I'm going to get a square beginning sheet of paper, so to say. Our artboard is what it's called, the initial. I'm going to teach you a little bit about the rest of the choices later. For now, all I want you to do is say yes. Now, in my case, this window is so big, I can't even get to that bottom yes. If you can make things a little bit bigger, you'll see it'll show up now. It's over here. You have to say create. Otherwise, you can just hit your return key and that will be the same as hitting your create. And once you do that, we're going to have the beginnings of our first document. Now, I told you that my Illustrator kind of crashed. My VD, I got out of it a couple of times and it might be giving me trouble because it should have created itself in an actual blink of a second, and instead it's thinking. So I'm wondering if I'm having my VDI issues there because of having bumped out of it a few times, but no, there you go. It finally did it. Thank you. Oh, my husband just brought me a coffee. One of the nice things about being home. Thank you, sweetie. All right. It's got its advantages. On the other hand, I'm in my living room, so you know, that's a disadvantage. My kids have to keep quiet, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, so here I am inside of Illustrator. Now, with my 11 by 11 artboard is what it's called, has been created. Now, I want to say that for some people, the Illustrator program will show up much bigger or much smaller on their screen. Could be that you have it like this and you have other stuff around, or you have it huge. One thing I'm going to say for people who are not accustomed to moving in and out of programs, this is fine, but I highly recommend maximizing the size of your program. So click on that so that it fills your screen to use it as everything to the best of your ability so you can move in and out and also not get distracted. Sometimes when you use other programs, if you take the digital design class, you'll see that we'll have Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Bridge all open at the same time. And it's easiest when the program fills its own space when you use it. So if you're on a Mac, you would have to go over here and click on the green button that shows up on here. There's like red, green, and blue. Just click on the green one and that'll fill your screen with your program. All right. The main difference between a Mac and a PC literally is, as I just said, the shortcuts and where those buttons are. How you turn off or close a file and maximize and minimize are on the right versus on the PC. On the PC, they're on the right versus on the Mac, they're on the left. So that's about it. The other only difference is that on Windows, you have these file, edit, object, and stuff right above inside of the program, versus if you're on a Mac, and if your Mac is floating around like this on your screen, then these choices will be up above on the top of your screen, right next to the little Apple logo. You'll have the file, edit, object way up there. So when I say go to view and change something from view to do something like that, you'll have to go to the very, very topmost part of your screen to choose the view window, okay? If you don't find it, I'll show you in a minute because I can share my Mac screen with you and show you what I mean. But that that's the only overt big difference, okay? So I'm going to fill my screen again. And then here on the left side, I have the majority of my main toolbox, so to say, right? Now notice that my main toolbox is in 2 rows. It's possible that yours is only in 1 row. And it looks like that. So let me show you how I did that. See, it's 2 little tiny little arrows right there on the top left. If I click it like that, it gives me 2 rows. If I click it again, it gives me 1 row. Now, some of you, because of the resolution of your screen, might see all of your tools. They finish right here, and that's good. But some of you might have this tools be so big that it kind of stops over here. You don't see all of your tools. If you don't see all of your tools, then your best bet is to double them like that, and then you will be able to see all your tools. That's just a setting that depends on your computer. I'm going to start by using mine in this one length mode. But if you have it in 2 in yours and you can't find the tool I'm referring to, I'll help you point to it. Okay. Now, those 2 little arrows pop up a lot of times in all of the Adobe programs, and it always means expand or collapse. So over here, for example, I see it again, and if I click, I expand something, and if not, I collapse it. Here again, if I click on this, I collapse it, and then I expand it. So whenever you see the 2 little arrows, that's what's happening. Things are either showing up thinner or fatter. Let's say the columns make more space. There's one other setting that I need everyone to do when you first start. If you've never used Illustrator before, you will be in the basic settings, but if you've already used it before, some of your settings and windows and panels might be different. So we're going to head up here to the top area, and when you see the button that if you hover over, it says switch workspace, click on that and make sure that you are looking at this check mark says essentials. If you are on something else, you might be in painting, for example, you're going to have your whole set of tools that appears is very different. But if you're about to paint, that's the main tools that you're going to want. If you're going to work with typography, again, all of the choices that you're given are different. If you're going to work with layouts, again, it's different, right? So there's just too many tools available in Illustrator. And so you need to make sure that you have like the toolbox that you need to start with. And so we're going to start with the simple one with essentials that has a little smorgasbord of the best of the best, the mainly used tools. Now, I just want to remind you that as I'm doing these things, I'm expecting you at home to be doing it on your computer too, so that you're practicing. And if you don't see it, don't find it, can't figure out where it is, you can, I can point you to it, right? And in this case, it's a simple thing, but as it gets more complicated, remember to be parallel working with me. And then I'm going to check when it gets a bit more intricate and say, okay, give me a yes if you got it, give me a no if you need some support and stuff like that, which I've been doing up until now. All right, so now we're all in essentials. And over here on the left, we have our main tools. Over here on the right, we have ways to modify those tools. And as you can see, I have 3 possible tabs: properties, layers, and libraries, right? And we're going to be using these later, but for now, I want you all to be in properties. There's many more tools available to me. If at some point you need a tool that you can't see, which we're going to get to it, all of the other tools are hiding under the window tab. So say that I want to, and I'm just going to say open my gradient tool, and I click on that, my window panel, my gradient panel pops in, right? So that's where you find other things. If I want my actions panel to pop up, there it pops up again and stuff like that. Once you have a ton of stuff that you don't even see your screen and you're tired and you're not using your actions or whatever, you can just go back up here and just say, reset essentials, and boom, it all clears out and it kind of goes back to the beginning. So can you all do that? Can you all like make some things appear, whatever, just click on some stuff, 3D and materials, and pop 1 or 2 windows open, move them around, like from this top little bar, you can move them around. You could also put them in here, which is kind of like tab them for a second because you don't need them all the time. So look what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab this window and I'm going to put it in here once the thing turns blue. Watch. I'm going to put my mouse in here. When my mouse touches it, see how it went, the little blue box, I let go. Now I've tabbed that box. And so when I need these tools, I just click on that, they open up and they close up. So they're not floating around, right? So then I open this one up and I close this one up. So again, let's open one other thing, whichever. I'm going to open the color panel and I'm going to just tab it right in there. And now I've got quick access to these panels. Okay, so this can be really handy if you want tools that are not available, right? Another thing you can do, let me open something else. Again, it doesn't matter what you're choosing to open. I'm going to open the gradient thing again here. I can also create another tab in here. So I could grab it from the tab, from the name now, and just kind of drop it in here. See how this thing went blue? Drop it in there, and then it becomes another tab together with these 4. So anyway, this is very adaptable, very changeable. Once you've messed with this enough, I'll show you, we can reset it. But first, I also want to show you that when you put your mouse over any of these lines, they turn 2-headed arrows. You could then click and drag in case you want to make them bigger or smaller, right? I mean, most of the times we want things smaller because we want to have more space to design in, but sometimes you might need to make things bigger or smaller, and you can. So this one can also be made bigger or smaller that way, or bigger or smaller that way, okay? So as you can see, things are quite malleable. Once you start using this for your own needs, you'll decide which is the best set of tools to have on hand for yourself. And then if you want, and you do that, you can create your own, like you can make a new workspace called My Workspace with the tools that you like. Anyway, let's just clear all that up. Whatever mess you made or didn't make, let's go up and reset essentials again so that we're all starting with the exact same set of tools. And there's no confusion about where we are. All right, if everyone was able to open and close, move, tab, do that kind of stuff, and you got it, give me a yes. If something didn't work that you wanted to work and you want to see how, give me a no. Sorry, I just sipped from my coffee and it was really hot. I'm gonna have to open it up to let it get a bit colder. All right. Let me just, I have to look at my phone because it occurs to me that I have not given you a break yet. Normally sometime around the middle, which is about now, I'll be giving you guys a break. I'm loath to give a break. I'm going to give you a break, but I'm going to hang out by my computer because what in case someone like Susan shows up that just saw the email and they'll just show up in the Zoom won't let them in. So I'm going to hang out. But before we get like started on a project, let's take our break right now. 10 minutes, you guys. I'm going to, what time is it? 2:58. So let's meet at 3:10 again. Okay. Be back by 3:10. And I'm going to stop my share. I'm going to mute you all so that you can all like, you know, move around, do whatever you want. And I'll see you guys in 10. Oh, Amber, I see that you were saying no. I didn't notice that. Is there something there that I can?
My screen looks different a little bit from yours in the tool, and I think one of the dialog boxes that popped up when I first loaded it, it said, "Oh, there's a newer version of Illustrator available." So maybe it's that.
Could be. This one is 2023. Why don't you just share your screen and show me? I mean, as I said, because I'm afraid someone might show up, I'm not really gonna go for breaks. So
yeah, I can't actually because I logged in separately on my phone because it like my computer was getting taxed and then it kept shutting down, and so I didn't want to jump off the meeting again.
I hear that. I hear that.
Okay. The difference that I see is that you have that little column with the chat window where you dragged things in with the blue, like you put the tool menu. I don't have that.
And if you said a reset essentials, did that work?
That did work, although my essentials properties tab looks a little different than yours.
It's interesting because yes, it's true that the VDI 2023 is a little bit different. Because on VDI, they upgraded every 3 months instead of all the time. But hold on, because I am opening my Mac version, which I upgraded just a day ago. So let me look in here and reset my essentials here.
Yeah, and I'm on a PC right now.
Yeah, but the window, bad news for you, on my lately upgraded Illustrator, it still looks the same.
As what
this,
you're looking at.
Yeah, I'm on Illustrator 27.
Where do you see the version number?
Yeah, so if you're on a Mac, it's easy. You go over there. On a PC, how do we know? what version we're in.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how
Uh,
to like update to the latest. Although this I just downloaded from the Creative Cloud that I bought 2 weeks ago, so I don't know.
Yeah, let me do a quick search. How to view app version on Adobe PC. Let me see. Launch application, choose help about. There you go. Go to
Okay.
choose help and about, because the PC is about is right under. Oh, I don't see an about under help. Oh, Illustrator.
help.
Yeah, but about Illustrator. There it is, like kind of almost halfway down. My VDI says 27.4. So it looks like it's updated. What does yours say?
It says 2.0.1.
Ah, so you have 22. So that's interesting. Mine is 27. So mine is quite a bit newer.
That's weird.
Can
Maybe
you
it
go
has
and
to
see
be
if there's an update available? Go into your Creative Cloud and see if there's an update available. Let me
Oh,
just
there
say
is,
some.
yeah. Okay.
Sometimes they give you the main application and then you have to update the little bits and pieces that change.
Got it. That's just funny. I didn't expect that since I just downloaded it today.
Yeah, it's weird. Sometimes you download a program and it immediately says there's updates to this because it comes in a separate package. So use the rest of the break to update it. It updates are relatively quick. So just click on update and let it update while you go take a break.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Sounds
Glad
good.
we checked.
Thanks.
All right. See you in a bit.
Okay, bye.
Bye. All right, it's 3:10. And I do want to acknowledge that it's a short break and that we would probably normally have a 15-minute break because this is a long class. But if you need any time in between to take a break, you can always do that. Give me some sign of life that you're here. Give me a little yes if you're here. And yeah, it was shorter than normal. You're always welcome to stand up, move around, and take care of your needs during class. But yeah. So Amber is having issues with her connection, so she's popping in and out. And unfortunately, I'm having issues with my connect. That's why the tech was here to fix my connection, but they came at the wrong time. And I've been getting alerts that my Zoom is flickering. So if at any point you see me not, you see that I get frozen for a little bit, for a lot of it, like I stay frozen and I stop responding, don't leave the Zoom. It's happened a couple of times in the last month, which is why I've been dealing with the tech. What happens is that I'll disconnect. See, there it is right now. I'm getting a message saying unable to establish secure connection to Zoom, but I am on Zoom. So anyway, I'm going to reset Zoom. I open up and I'll pop into the class again. Like you'll just have to wait for a bit and then suddenly I'll start talking again. And it might take, the whole process might take me like 5 to 10 minutes sometimes. So hopefully it won't happen, but that's only if you see that I'm frozen and not responding, then don't leave, be patient. It's on my end that I have to reset myself, okay? Just as a warning, so you know. All right, so Molly, Jessica, Susan, are you here? Give me a little yes if you're here. And I know Amber, again, was on her phone because her computer kept disconnecting. So she's probably gonna pop back in as soon as her connection clears up. I have been teaching at home, for since the beginning of the pandemic, so more than 3 years right now. And after I switched from the cable to a higher cable, I have not had any problems until the last few weeks with the rains. I think something weird must have happened because it's the first time in years that I actually have issues, and I teach so many online classes that this isn't really a problem, but oh well. So, okay, it is what it is. Okay, I see that Jessica's also here. Molly and Susan, if you're here.
I'm
please.
here. I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Okay, good. Sign of life. I'm going to continue. All right, so I am going to share my screen. And as I said, worst case scenario, I'll have to turn off my Zoom. Here comes Amber again. I'll have to turn off my VDI, and just keep working with you from my my personal Illustrator if this becomes a problem, if the Zoom continues to flicker. Right, so just as a catch up, if I get frozen, don't leave. It might take me 5 minutes or so because I'm also having issues like Amber, and just hang in and I'll restart my system and connect again, and suddenly I'll pop into the class again. Keep it going for if you see me suddenly freeze. Okay. So here we are, Illustrator, open a new file. I've shown you a little bit about how to work. This is the good news. Just about every program, every Adobe program presents the same way. Everything I just taught you works for all the programs that we're going to be using in any Adobe application, the whole moving boxes around, resetting windows. This is exactly how it works. And most of the programs start with a basic set of tools here and some panels over here on the right to modify those tools. Let's start using it. Over here on the left, when you hover over any of these tools, if your computer is set at the basic starting your new user settings, then you get like these little animations about each tool, which is on the one hand wonderful if you're new, because it's showing you what this tool does. On the other hand, it's kind of gets in the way, especially if you you're already are using Illustrator, you don't want that all the time. So you can go into the preferences for the program and turn off these little animations. I'm not going to turn it off because every time I have to show it, but let me show you where the preferences are. At some point, you might want to make changes to your preferences. If you're on a this is the only other this is the last thing that's different, PC or Mac. On a PC, I'm showing you PC right now, you go to the edit, and down here are the program preferences, right? So if you click on that, program preferences, you can either, it doesn't matter what you choose of these, let's start with general, because you'll see when the window pops up, all of these choices are here again. So you can choose dis, selection, type, units. This might be a good place to change your settings to inches if right now it might be set at picas or something else. So go ahead and switch it to inches. It might already be set to inches or not, but sometimes it doesn't. All right, and it's over here where you can turn off those animations or something like that. Let's just say cancel. I'll let you explore all of these on your own. Let me just show you how to do this if you're in on the Mac, because I was having issues with my connection. I turned off my my Illustrator for the Mac, but let me just tell you that if you head up to the very top of your Mac, where you see the Apple icon, top left of your screen, Apple icon, right next to it, you see the word Illustrator. Click on Illustrator. And then right under the word Illustrator, you'll see preferences. Click on preferences and it's exactly the same set of preferences. So it's the only, that's it, because that's actually in a different location in the program. So those of you who are on a Mac, did you find them? Who else was on a Mac? Amber, there we go. I think, Amber, you said you're on a Mac?
I'm currently on a PC. I'm getting my Mac fixed. I was on the Mac the last class. Yeah.
Okay. So I think someone else had said they were on a Mac. Okay. I don't know. That's it. All right. Cool. So so if these animations bug you, all you need to do is ignore them and keep moving because they disappear once you move on to something else, or go to the settings and turn them off. Scroll through them and see which one. I don't remember right now which one specifically turns it off. But if you read the stuff, you'll find it. Okay, so let's go ahead and start by choosing this little rectangle, which is this guy there. It's called the rectangle tool, as you see, because it says rectangle. Now, when you move it into the tool, into the artboard, and you click and drag, you will make a little box. This box that you first make, the first one you ever make, shows up like little blue lines and white stuff. And that's because right now, by default, if you have not used the program before, the initial settings for the appearance of this box over here are that the fill of this box is going to be white with a little black stroke, which is a border. So let's see. If I now, let's change tool. Let's go to change back to this top arrow. Let's go to this top arrow right there. When you click on this top arrow, that's my selection tool. See how there the name selection appears when I hover over it? I'm going to now just click on this white neutral area. And what I see is that box that I have just drawn. It's a box that has a little tiny black line, right? Which I can now, with this tool, I can go in and click on it and drag it around, move it back and forth, do stuff with it, okay? And by the way, this little double arrow that's popping up here is part of the VDI thing, and the normal one, it doesn't show up. And it's filled with white. So let's see, deselect it and select it. So when you select a thing that you just made, it has all these little gizmos that we'll be learning. When you deselect it, it just looks like the object that you've created, right? But if you want to change the color or anything of this object, you need to have it selected. So let's select it one more time. And let's change the color by going over here to fill, clicking on fill. And when you click on fill, all these sets of colors pop in, choose one of them, choose another, do whatever you want. And then the only one that maybe you shouldn't be choosing right now, and you'll see why in a minute, is blue. So choose any color. I'm going to choose yellow, for example, or orange. And then when I click away again, the fill has changed to whatever I just selected. The stroke right now set at one point was that teeny little black line. So selecting the object again, if I choose my stroke, I'm going to make it fat. I can either write in here like 6 points, or I can just kind of go up, up, up arrow, and I can choose bigger, or I can click on this arrow and choose one from here, right? So I'm going to choose a big old fat stroke. And basically it's equivalent to a border. That's the size of the stroke. So now I really see it. If I click away, that's a really fat border. It's called a stroke, not a border when we talk about it in Illustrator, but it's the same thing. Now I'm going to select that choice again, and I'm going to change the color of the stroke from right here. I'm going to click on that, and the same set of choices comes up, and now I'm going to choose a bright pink stroke. Here's where I don't want you to choose anything except for blue, because see how there's also blue lines here? Those blue lines, if you choose a blue color, it might be harder to see. So until we're done with this part that I'm learning, that I'm teaching you, choose a color that is not blue or not similar to blue, like don't choose purple, and leave that stroke big and fat and click away, just so that we can see the elements well. So here we have created a rectangle and we've modified its appearance, okay? Notice that the place that I just chose the colors from is gone. I have selected, select the break back, like don't have this object selected. This is called an object. Select the artboard again, which is this area is the artboard. And suddenly you don't have color options here. Where did they go? Well, this properties panel is responsive to whatever you are selecting, and it shows you things that you can do to a selection. Since I am not selecting this object anymore, there's no need to change its color. That disappears. I'm going to select the object and boom, see how the appearance, so the properties panel changed. Now it has a way to transform the size and shape, position. It has a way to transform the color, the fix, how to align it onto the material. So all the choices that exist for this appear over here, yet when I click away, now they disappear, and the choices that I have are choices that I can make to my general artboard. Does that make sense? That's how the properties panel work. It's very responsive to what needs or what things you can do to whatever is currently the active mode. And the active mode, when you don't have an object selected, is basically the artboard. The artboard is this back panel, and over here it is telling me things that I can do to the artboard. So, all right. Now, the selection tool that I just showed you, first of all, is I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to show you how to zoom in a minute, but I want to make sure that we have a big view of this. This tool, this shape that I just did, how did I zoom in and out? Is I used shortcuts. There's so many different shortcuts for zoom in and out, but this is the best way to do it. If you're on a Mac or on a PC, the difference is what shortcut tool you choose. So on a PC, go to your keyboards and hold down the control key. If you're on a Mac, hold down the command key. And now the only confusing part, if you're on a Mac, but you're on VDI, you are truly using a PC computer, right? So if you are on a Mac, but are using VDI, you also need to use the control key because you're operating the school's PC computer. Does that make sense? So I don't think that's the situation. I think most people here who are on VDI are PC users, in which case it's just control. If you're on a Mac command. Okay, so once you hold the control key, now to make this zoom in or out, you have to go up to the minus and plus. They're up there by the delete key next to the 0. So minus, 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 minus zooms out, and plus, 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 plus zooms in. Okay, and then minus, minus, minus. So you kind of tap it back and forth for it to zoom in or out. Is that working for everyone? Shortcuts, these are pretty important shortcuts. We're going to be zooming in and out of stuff all the time. So this is a good one to learn a by heart. On top of that, this is a universal computer keyboard. So you can zoom in and out of a web browser. You can zoom in and out in Word. You can zoom in and out in Photoshop. This is universal. Control plus plus, control minus minus zooms in and out of myriad computer programs. So it's a good shortcut to know. Now, if I want to just, sometimes people get really in despair because suddenly everything seems to disappear. They make a mistake or whatever, and suddenly everything looks great. And they're like, oh, where'd all my stuff go? Well, when that happens, you can just do a quick, and if you go zoom in and out, the thing is zooming in and out kind of behind the scenes. So a really good shortcut to know is Command or Control 0. So hold down the Command or Control and tap 0. And what happens is your entire artboard comes into focus and fills the screen. So it's not the object you just made, but the artboard. See how my entire 11 by 11 is now being seen. So if I had zoomed in or out and you want to just go straight back to seeing everything, just Control 0. If you had zoomed really tiny and you want to go back to seeing everything, again, just Control 0. Okay. Or Command 0 if you're on a Mac. So that's a really useful shortcut. Now, when now I'm going to zoom in, but notice that my object is not selected here. Let me put the object on this corner of the street. Notice that my object is not selected right now. This is the last thing about zooming. When I zoom in now, it kind of zooms in and my object disappears. I'm zooming into the center of the screen. So if I zoom back, it slowly appears back out. So if I want to zoom in to this object, I select it, and then when I zoom in, Control plus plus plus, see how it zooms into the object versus Control minus minus minus. So when you want to zoom in to see a certain object, select it first and then do the plus plus plus, and then it'll fill your screen. Got it? Is everyone doing that? Control minus, Control plus, select your object, Control minus, Control plus. If you can Control 0 to fill the screen. Once you practice all of those and they all work for you, give me a yes. All right. I'm aware that Susan isn't doing the work right now. That's okay. You'll notice, Susan, when you review the recordings, that I've shown a way for people to post their work, and it's this thing called Padlet that's over here that people have posted onto. So what you'll do is you'll watch the recording, do the work, and then post the work on Padlet. Okay. So the things that I'm doing every now and then, go a little screenshot and post it here. So now we haven't done anything that is screenshot worthy yet. We're just practicing, but this is an example. If this were something that we practiced or whatever, I might say, okay, screenshot this and post it and then keep going. So you might have 1, 2, 3 posts per class session, depending on the processes that we do, 1 to 3 to 5 per class session. And then again, during the week, if you're working on homework, let me just say that I'm not going to assign homework that's mandatory. This is a non-credit class, and I'm not going to grade you if you do or don't do your homework. It's more like I'm going to suggest that you work on a particular thing or another, and it's up to you to do it or not. So it's okay not to come to class next week, and if you didn't do what I assigned you to do, but the more you do, the more you learn. That's all I'm going to say. Other than that, we do the class work during class. If you missed a class or you missed a portion of the class, then you do have to do the work with a recording and post it. That's not homework. That's just attending class. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So cool. Okay. So here I am zoomed into my basic simple box, and I wanted to zoom in for you to see, again, if you're not selected it for any reason, please select it, because I want to talk about the parts, the tools that are showing up here. This blue box that surrounds my object is called the bounding box. And this bounding box is what allows me to manipulate my object with there's 2 selection tools. The black selection tool is the top one. The white selection tool is the bottom one. Now, the black selection tool is the one that I'm going to boost 90%. So 90% of the time, and it's the one that's kind of like my hand that does things and moves things around and gets me to places. All the other tools do something, good or bad, extraordinary or scary, but you should not be in them more than you need. When you're done with that tool, you should always switch back to the selection tool. So which if you notice there in the little tooltip, it says the selection and it says the letter V right there, V. So that's the quick way to get back to that tool. So say that I'm on the rectangle tool again, and I'm done making rectangles. I can either take my mouse and go all the way up there, or I can hit the V on my keyboard, just hit the V, and boom, see how my selection became the V again. So go ahead and choose some other tool, whatever, choose another tool, and then hit the V and hold it for a minute and see how my selection became the selection tool again. We want to kind of remember that because we need it a lot, okay? Whenever I want you to do the direct selection tool, was it the white one? The shape of the V is like that, and an A is like that, right? So basically the opposite is the A is the way to call up the white selection tool. See how it says A? So consider that it's these are the shortcuts. But right now we're gonna sit with the V or direct, it's just the basic selection. This is called the selection tool. This is called the direct selection tool. We just want the selection tool. With the selection tool, we can manipulate the bounding box. So I'm going to grab this little white thing here and click and drag, and I'm changing the shape of my box with my using the bounding box. Okay, so I can make it bigger, wider, shorter, thinner, fatter. All right. Now, if instead of selecting these little handles, these are handles, and instead of selecting these handles, the outer handles that are on the line, if instead I choose the corner one, then I can move both height and width at the same time, manipulate both of them. Notice that if I hit anywhere near like a box, see that line there? That's in that little pink line that suddenly appeared and disappeared. That's telling me that I've that this is actually a square. As I move out of a square, it kind of keeps going back and forth. Okay, so that's how we manipulate the size and shape of this object. Now, if I were to instead try to choose the path, right, which is that thing that's in between the white handles, and try to get it from there, I would end up just moving, right? Because the only way to manipulate the shape and shades is from these little white boxes. It's from these points. Any other place you click here, you end up moving the object, no matter that you are selecting that line or whatever, it doesn't matter. The only place to change its shape and size are from the corners, the little white boxes, okay? Now, there's one more thing that pops up here in a rectangle, which is these little round gizmos. These little round gizmos only exist, as you can see, in the four corners. These exist to help me round out the corners of my box. So I'm going to grab one of these little gizmos and I'm going to drag in, and I am rounding out the shape of my box. By the way, I heard Susan saying, if you used Illustrator a long time ago, this didn't exist, right? So this might be news to you. Then if I click away, all I'm left with is a rectangle that is no longer a rectangle because it has curved ends. To modify that again, this is infinitely scalable, infinitely editable, and changeable, right? All I need to do is reselect, always select what you want to work on, grab these little gizmos and pull them all the way up and all the way kind of past the corner, and boom, you got your squares again, okay? So you move it in and out to get your little squares, but your points are not. Now, what if you only want to use one of these points to round up and not the rest? Like you don't want everything to round up, you only want this one to round up. You're going to hold down to whatever key is your okay, here, let me actually, no, this one doesn't need a key. Illustrator is subtle in how you click your mouse, right? So you're going to head over. Oh, and if you have a laptop that you're using with a touchpad, just give it up. For the Adobe programs, you're going to need a mouse at the very least, or a graphic pen, which is what I use, a graphic tablet. But you definitely have a very hard time doing any of this with a touchpad, but it's possible, it's hard. So let me grab only one of these. If I grab only one of these, the way to do it is by first clicking on one. Just click on it. See how it turned blue? Now I've isolated it. Now I can grab it and only one moves in and out. Okay, so you have to first click it one time. When it changes color from the rest, then it's been isolated. Okay. And now I'm going to pull all the way out again. All right, if you've been able to do all of these manipulations, everything's good, nothing's stopping you, give me a yes. These little yeses, by the way, are also what let me know that you're following the class and you're there and not just like kind of off watching TV. So it's also part of me knowing if I can continue. On the one hand, that's really what I do it for, to make sure I can continue and that no one stopped. As exercises get a bit more complicated, people might begin to have questions, but also it gives me that factor that you were there, and that's all I really need to grade you pass, no pass, is pretty much attendance. It's not how good you get, because some people start the class knowing a lot. It's not happening in this class, but many times I have very experienced people, and my goal for them is to just get better than they are. And some people are beginners and they need to get better than they are. Both of those people will pass the class, even though the material produced by the new person might not be as complicated as the person who's already advanced. Does that make sense? So I don't need you all to be at the same level. In this case, since you're all kind of beginners anyways, it is a bit similar, but a lot of the times it's not. Most of the times I teach a very multi-level crowd. So I just need you to know what I teach, and everything else is icing on the cake. All right, so if I want to click only on this one, then I click once time first, and then I can manipulate it. Okay, all right, so that's pretty clear. So that's what those little gizmos are. There's some more, but that's the important thing. This one in the middle means nothing. It just means this is the exact center point of this object. That's all this means. If you click on it or not, it, you know, it's just, it's as the same as if you clicked on the yellow part. Okay. That's the main thing about a simple object. I'm going to back out a little bit now. And how am I going to do that is by clicking on the control or command minus. And I want to scooch over a little bit because I want to see a bit more of my screen. Let me actually do this with a plus. I'm going to plus until you see only the fill color. So command or control plus until you see only the fill color. Now, maybe this is the size you need to see this at, but you're not targeting the right thing. You wanted to look at the border, right? So how do I scooch around? I don't want to go up and down. I just want to see things at this size because I need to see certain details, but I need to move around. So what I can do, some people like to use scroll bars. I hate scroll bars. Instead, I'm going to hold on to the spacebar tool, hold it down, and your tool turns into a little mouse. Then you can kind of click and drag, and you are scooching your way until you get to the border. And I'm going to click and drag, click and down, and then here I'm in this corner. Does that make sense what I'm doing? Click and drag, click and down. So this is called panning around. Let go of the space bar, and I am wherever I am, back into the tool that I used to be in. Many of you guys might notice that in the past there used to be a little hand tool right here that used to be the panning tool, but since everyone knows this shortcut, that little hand tool disappeared. But you can still find it if you want by holding onto this search tool with your mouse. Keep holding down, and there you have the hand tool, right? But who wants to go all the way there to find the hand tool to then scooch around, to then have to go back to your move tool? That's why it's good to know certain shortcuts. Instead of doing that and all of that zabang, you just hold down your space bar, scooch over a little bit, then you keep working on this portion, then you scooch over a little bit, you keep working on this portion. Does that make sense? Space bar, let go, space bar, let go. And now let's all do Command or Control 0 to fill our screen again. Now, if you try to scooch over now, there's, you know, nothing to scooch to, so that's all you can do. If you are so zoomed out that you can't even scooch, the tool might not work. I call it scooch. When I call panning, people like don't really get the word panning, so that's the technical term though, to pan. All right, cool. Now, so that's it. We just created one little object. On top of that, other than change its color, it's the same boring old little rectangle. How can I create other shapes? Well, first of all, if I go to that rectangle and hold the rectangle, then I see that actually under this tool, there's other shapes. There's a possible ellipse, polygon, star, or line, right? There's like other choices I can make. That said, I want to still hang out in the rectangle tool for a second longer, but I wanted to show you that if you do choose another tool and let go, this starts looking like that tool you chose. So when you go back to look for the rectangle tool, you'll go, oh, the rectangle tool is missing. Well, no, you got to know that you hold over here and there it is, and you get it back. So this tool will always show the last tool that you used. Does that make sense? So over here, when I had shown you to use the hand tool, well, that now is always going to have the hand tool. And if you're ever looking for the zoom tool, which is the magnifying glass, you'll have to know now that when you hold down, that's the zoom tool, and that's the one, you know, so you kind of have to begin to learn what's underneath these little tools. All right, back to the rectangle tool. There's two ways to use these tools. What I taught you to do is to click and drag, and notice that the second rectangle that I make looks appearance-wise identical to the first one, because the appearance gets inherited. So if the last fill I used is orange and the last stroke I used is pink, 10-point or 16-point border, then every rectangle I make will appear that way until I change the appearance. So right now that I've made a third one, go ahead and make one or two more. Then I'm going to head over here and I'm going to, while it is still selected, I'm going to change the appearance to green fill, and my stroke is going to now be brown, gray. That's an icky color combination. And now if I make another rectangle, and now I'm going to make one on top of this one, then it will keep coming out this other way. Does that make sense? Now, in my hand, I have the make rectangle tool. So if I want to move this tool, if I want to move this around, if I were to, in the past, you couldn't do that. In the past, if you wanted to move this, you had to go back always to the selection tool. Now there's a possibility, if you do a shortcut, that you could move it. So now I've got a ton of tools. Let me just first show you how to make something else, and then I'll show you how to move it. So now we have like rectangles upon rectangles, and you might notice that every rectangle I make, let me now get one other fill color, whatever, to this one, every rectangle I make seems to appear stacked on top of the one that I made before, right? It was a bit hard to tell on the first few because I had them on the side, but now that I'm putting one on top of the other, I'll have to move this one out of the way in order to get to this one, right? To move it and stuff like that. I mean, you could also just grab it from what you see, but if I move it here, it moves, but it is still in the bottom. I move it here, I move it, but it is still in the bottom. Does that make sense? So we're going to talk in a minute about how to change their stack positioning, their level positioning. So I'm going to do that in a second. But first, I wanted to show you how to make this exact same thing that we're to use this tool in a slightly different way. So up until now, I've told you click and drag. What if instead of clicking and dragging, you were to just click? If you just click, which for a lot of people, this happened before, right? Because I told you to click and drag, and yet you had only clicked. What you get is a chance to make a rectangle at a specific size and shape. So you might want to say 1 by 1, right? So you can tab your way to the next one, or you can click in the next one, and then you say, okay. And there you get a basic rectangle with the same appearance that you had just selected. So right now I'm at red and grayish, but it's specific. So now I'm going to click over here one more time, and I'm going to say, I want this to be 3 by 1, and I'll say, okay. And then it appears there. So wherever I click, if I click over here and I say, now I want 5 by 1, and I can say, okay, or hit my return key, then it appears over here. It starts, this is where I click. So that's the top left corner, and the rest of it ends up outside of my page because that's where I clicked, and it was a long one. So I can move it back. Okay. And if I want to move it back and I try to move it back, I'm like, oh no, I made another one. I'm just trying to move it. And you kind of like, oh, I made another one. Because you are in Make Rectangle tool. So if you want to move it, what's the tool that moves things?
The arrow with the shift key or the hand?
No, that scooches me around, but it doesn't move the object. Good
Oh.
try. What moves the objects?
Dark
Selection
arrow.
tool.
Say that again.
Selection tool.
Yeah, this is our hand in
Selector,
Illustrator,
call
the
it.
selection tool. And the shortcut for that one, if you want to go click on it, if not, click the V. And now you're on your selection tool. Now you can grab things and move them around, right? So that's what I meant about when you're in a specific tool, you do nothing but make rectangles. You can't do anything but make rectangles. So you have to go back to the selection tool in order to kind of begin to move things around. Does that make sense, you guys? Okay, I'm gonna clean the feedback. By the way, great idea to use the panning tool. I'm gonna hold down the space bar, but remember the panning tool, what it lets me do is it makes me move the entire artboard so that I can see a different area of it, but the object itself needs to be selected and moved with the selection tool, okay? All right, now I have a bunch of too many squares over here and rectangles or something like that. So I'm going to just select and hit the delete key and get rid of some of these extra ones. Select and hit the delete key. Oh, I want to show you one more thing before I keep doing that. Hold on. If I were to make a new one right now, it's going to come out red and green. Sorry, red and gray, because that's the appearance panel. Watch what happens if instead I choose my selection tool and select my yellow and pink one. So what's the appearance panel now? It's yellow and pink. Well, if I now go to my rectangle and begin to make rectangles again, they will appear yellow and pink because that's the last one I selected. Does that make sense? It inherits the colors of the last thing you did. And the last thing as I checked and selected a pink and orange panel. So that's what's been selected. So now that's what I need to do. If I want to go back to these colors, right, I'm going to go back to the V or selection tool, select it. This changes to green and purple. And now I want to go back to my rectangle tool. And the shortcut for my rectangle tool is the M. See how it went there? And then with the M, I keep making green and purple tools. So again, if I hover over this tool, it says rectangle M. See that? So that's the quick way to pick up and make rectangles again. As you can see, I'm constantly going to be talking about these shortcuts. You can go ahead and always do it with your mouse. If you're new to the program, you might like that. But on the other hand, if you're new to the program, might not work. Why not learn the best practices from the beginning? Because once you get good at it, you want to know the quick way to work. And the quick way to work is using these shortcuts. All right, let's all go back to the move selection tool or V, whichever way you want to get there. And let's get some things deleted because I want to clear out the way. So hopefully you have a mess of rectangles. Actually, you know what? It's not a bad idea now. In fact, it's a great idea. Go ahead and get a screenshot of this. I want to see your screen full of miscellaneous rectangles. Remember, if you're on a Mac or PC, it's Command, if you're on a Mac, Command Shift 4. And the kind of shortcut, the kind of selection right now I need you to do is probably just this artboard, which makes sense. But a lot of the times when I'm working with properties here and layers, you'll see, I'm going to want you to include the layers so I can see your work and see the stuff that you're doing. This time it's just a bunch of rectangles. Now that screenshot is lying on my desktop. I'm going to keep working. You're going to keep working. Later, when I say, okay, upload your screenshots, you can go in and upload your screenshots. But let me say you can only include one screenshot per post. So it's not like you can upload and then collect 6 screenshots here. You would have to make one post for each screenshot. Okay, I just kind of wanted to say that. And then don't forget to say Deanna. So if you want to do it on the way or in a time when I'm explaining something that you already know, go ahead and do that. But you can also just let them sit on your desktop, and then when you're done, upload 5 times. The thing about that, I highly recommend you go and delete them from your desktop after that, because then your desktop will get cluttered and you really don't need them there. After you publish them, you can get rid of them. They're not files that you're going to use in any way, shape, or form in the future. Okay. If you're on a PC, remember, you would go to the snipping tool and select them and that way. All right. So everyone go ahead and pause and make a little screenshot just to practice. Again, not because what we're doing is so advanced or complicated, but to practice showing me your work. There's no way to do this wrong other than if you aren't doing it, right? But if you have only 2 boxes, because that's what you're doing, or you've got only 1 color, that's great too. But don't hesitate to post it, because then at least I'll know what is or isn't working and who needs a bit more support or less support, right? So it just informs me. It's not, there's no right or wrong of how many people need to be here. Am I hearing, are you all hearing me?
How
Okay,
do we get up into the little Padlet again? If we have the screenshot on our desktop?
hold on. 1 second. Something really weird happened here. Let me mute you all for a second again. Okay, my whole like panel where I do these things was frozen. I now managed to unfreeze it, but now you're muted. So whoever was speaking, please unmute yourself and ask me again, because now it's working. I thought that I was beginning to freeze, but then it was just my panel. So
It's Molly. How do we
yes.
get the screenshot onto that Padlet? again?
Have you, are you on a Mac or on a PC?
Mac.
Okay, so you know how to do a screenshot? You
Yeah,
got that?
I've got
Okay.
the screenshot.
All right, then the Padlet link, let me put it in there again because
I've got that too.
okay, there's a Padlet link. When you click onto your Padlet and you're here, then click this plus sign right there. Plus, oh, see, I see that some of you guys, there you go, you guys are posting it. That plus sign that appears at the bottom right, and then put your name, right? So Diana, again, I'm gonna write, and then if you see it here on this desktop, just drag it on because it's on your desktop, just pop it in here and that'll work. But if you don't see it because the way your computer is configured, then just click on this icon and go find it where you put it. And since screenshots automatically on a Mac go to the desktop, then that's where it'll be. Select that and then publish. Say, you know, double click or select open and then it'll publish. And this is a screenshot that I just took when my Zoom was saying that it couldn't connect, and I did a screenshot so I can show the tech guy when he comes back. But there you go, I just, and then here's the thing about these is that when I want to go and check in your work, I'll go and say, oh, let me see what Moni did. And I click on hers, then I can see a bigger shot of it. And if your selection is also showing me your panels and your layers, which you will in the future do, then it helps me check and see what, how you're working with the tools, right? So anyway, did that work, Molly, then?
Yeah, the problem was I'm on 2 completely different computers. So I'm gonna have to get, I have 2 laptops open. And I
Got
have
it. So the
Illustrator
one that you're
on
working on, you don't have the link on.
Yes.
Okay, go, but that's okay. No, good point. So if you go to your handouts,
Okay.
I showed it, this, watch the recording. But if you go to your handouts, and I need to log into the handouts again. And I showed all of this, so please watch the first, you know, half
Okay.
hour of the recording. I'm gonna go over to my Google Drive, shared drives, and then this is kind of the quick way to do it. And then go, you'll see the Illustrator file. There you go. In here, I have one of these is how to use Padlet.
Okay.
When you open that one, there's the Padlet link. Okay.
Okay.
So
great.
then you can open this on the computer that you're not on Zoom, because yeah, if you're not on Zoom, you can't use the link that I'm posting, right? So
you.
yeah, so there's the link. Oh, it says for fall, but it's the one it's the spring one. I needed to update. It's the spring 2023 link, but the name's still the same. the wrong time because I changed the link every time. All right. Good. I'm glad that you asked that because yeah, when you're on two different ones, the link isn't helpful to you. I'm going to go ahead and send an email when class is over. For the first time ever, only once, and because there's so many people who kind of, because of they didn't get the reminder, might have not joined us today, I'm going to send an email to everyone with a link to the recording of today's class so that if they intended to come and they just forgot, they can catch up. And I'm also going to send a link to the Padlet so that you can have it there, take it from there and put it somewhere handy. And I'm also going to have a link to a video of how to access the handouts, you know, so I'm going to do that best to put some information in that email and keep it around as a source or copy the information onto something that you can have handy. Okay. And then you can click on that link or just bookmark the Padlet link or something like that. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. See you later, Molly. Cool. Yeah, sometimes people's things, you know, real life. So make sure to watch the last hour of the class or last 40 minutes of the class, Molly, when you have a chance, okay? The reason I need you to do that is that if I keep teaching now, next week when we start again, I will start as if you already know the stuff that I taught the last hour and I'll move forward from that. So you need to, this is for everyone understands now why I asked you to watch the recording, because in person, I kind of have to do some review because there's no way to record, but now I have the recording. Catch up yourself and then move on. All right. So here we have a whole bunch of shapes. We did our screenshots. Let's, before I continue much further, let's save this file, okay? Because saving the file is relatively simple for people who own their own Illustrator program. It's a tiny bit more convoluted for people who are on VDI. So follow with me and save this file. So we're going to go to say file, save. Okay. And then all of the Adobe programs are putting this in the way when you want to save first. And the default answer here is it will try to save it to your Creative Cloud. When you purchase the program or when you belong to the Creative Cloud now through the school, you get a free spot in the Creative Cloud and it's a space because of what you paid that you can put your stuff. We're not going to do that. We're going to save on the computer, right? So since this is asked every time, if you always want to save on your computer, which I do, then you can also click on Don't Show Again so that this stops coming up and then it'll automatically keep save on your computer as your choice, okay? So anyway, save on your computer. And then for those of you who are in your home computer, just go to your documents folder, wherever you keep your handout, you know, wherever you do your work, make a folder for Illustrator class files and put it there. It's a tiny bit more complicated for people who are on VDI. So let me, you can save it wherever you want if you're working on your own computer. But VDI people, go over here to this area and let's search up and down. You need to search for the Google Drive. Remember that thing we connected to when we first opened VDI? Click on Google Drive. If you don't see Google Drive there, then the other option is to click on, to go to this PC right there. And scroll down there and there you'll see the Google Drive way down here. So that's two different ways to get to the Google Drive, okay? And then over here, my files for you are in the shared drives, but you can't save into my file. That's my folder. You can save things to my drive, which is your folder. Got it? So double click my drive. And then I have a bunch of folders here. You might have nothing. So if you have nothing, or if you have a bunch of stuff, it doesn't matter. You're going to create a new folder, and you're going to call this one Illustrator class. I'm going to call mine Spring 2023 Illustrator because I have so many Illustrator class files, but you might just want to call it Illustrator. Right? And once that has been created, you can double click and open that one. And then here we can save, this is, you can call this one, I don't know, beginning practice or something like that. Oh, beginning. I have something in the way of my keyboard. Begin in practice, and then you can say save. So now that has been saved. Oh, I forgot. There's this Illustrator options. Go ahead and say okay to whatever the choices are. We'll talk about these options later. And now this is called begin in practice. And for VDI people, now it's saved on your pipeline Google Drive, my drive. When you go there, you will see this file. For people who saved it in their home files, you should have in their home files. If you were successful with this, give me a yes. If you need me to explain the process a little bit more, give me a no. The VDI part is complicated. For everyone else, it's just save file, right? But for VDI people, sometimes it gets a bit convoluted. So, all right. Okay, so now that the file is saved, as we make changes, we can just say save all the time and it'll work. Okay. Okay, so now we have way too many of these guys. Let's start selecting and hitting the delete key on our keyboard and do it one at a time. But then on the other hand, what if I want to do this a little bit faster instead of one at a time? Well, watch. I'm hoping everyone still has a few. And if you don't still have a few, go and create a few more, right? Like go ahead and make one or two more, because I need you to have a few things here right now. And let's actually choose more than one of these so I don't have to individually delete everything, right? So how do I choose more than one? I can either click on one, now hold the shift key down and click on another. And then with my shift key held down, click on another. And with my shift key held down, click on another. And now I've clicked on 4 pieces, which by the way, you will notice that I have one bounding box for 4 pieces right now. Never mind. And now I hit delete and all 4 of those got deleted. Select one or select many. That's one way. Another way to select many things, if you still have many left or any left, the other way to do this is to use this neutral white area of the artboard and to click and drag your mouse. See, when you click and drag, it makes like a little tiny dotted box, and when you let go, it disappears. Okay, so drag that over one of the pieces you want to select. As long as it touches it, that's enough. You don't need to cover it completely, and that also selects it. Now that might seem more complicated than selecting, but when you have a bunch of things, it's really much easier because you do like this and boom, you've selected 3 at a time. Boom. Does that make sense? And then you let go, you hit delete, and then you do like that. And as long as it's touching it in some shape or form, I'm not touching the whole thing. I'm just touching the object and hit delete, and they've all gone away. So I've just shown you either hold shift and click, 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 click on different things and then hit delete, or just what I call drag a little net over the pieces that you want to catch and hit delete. So now we're left with 1 or 2 or none. You might have deleted everything. Well, that's fine, because the good news is we have an undo command. That is one of the most important undo commands that you can learn in the entire world of computers, and it always works, which is Command or Control Z, the letter Z for zebra. So hold down the Control or Command key, depending if you're a Mac or PC, and hit the Z. And what's going to happen is it's going to undo your last command. And then I'm going to hit Command and again, I mean, I keep my Control held down, and if I hit Z again, it'll undo the one before that. I hit C again, it'll undo the one before that. And Z, 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 and it'll basically keep going back, right? So hopefully you guys have made your miscellaneous rectangles reappear. Yep, and the Command Z or Control Z has worked for you. If you go a bit too far and you didn't mean to redo that final piece because maybe that was a mistake, you can always do Control or Command Y. Well, sorry, undo. in the map. By the way, you can also go here to undo, and the redo is, I forgot that it changes in Illustrator than in Photoshop. To redo, it's Shift Control Z. Okay, so Control Z was to undo, and Shift Control Z will make that last one undo. So Control Z is basically undo, 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 and then redo is Shift Control Z. All right. At this point, let's go ahead and select something and move anything. And the reason I'm saying that, just do anything else, because there's a slight problem. Oh, Susan had gotten disconnected. There she is again. When you do something else, like I just did something else, you break the history's memory. So anything you did ahead disappears. So if I had made a beautiful circle and then I deleted it and then I went and moved something, I can't redo that beautiful circle because I've changed the path of history. We'll practice that a little bit more when we have specific objects. But so it's not something that will solve every problem under the world, but know that it's available for you. Okay, so hopefully right now you have a bunch of different shapes. Let's now cast a big net, leave, if possible, one object. So I'm going to cast a bunch of, with 2 nets, I got everything, and I'm left with my original one. And if you don't have one left or it's got confusing, just go and create one. We won't go back to 1. Okay. Once everyone is back to 1, give me a yes. I'll keep going. Maybe go back to 2 if you have 2, or let's just make 1 more, because I need actually 2 to do this next demonstration. I know that this seems simplistic. All I'm doing is use rectangles, but I'm teaching you how to handle the program right now, right? So a lot of this is the base of what I'm going to teach you. Then what we create with it will get more and more intricate, but the whole thing that I'm doing right now, you're going to use all the time. How to handle things, move them around, delete them in and out and all that. So today's just like welcome to the program kind of stuff. So we won't end up with a beautiful design today, just so you know. All right, so next thing, when I showed you that if you select one, let me zoom in a tiny bit more so that you see this in more detail. When you have one object selected, the bounding box puts itself around the object. Now, why is it not around the object? Really? Because really, it doesn't seem to be around the object. It has, it seems to be inside of the border, right? And it's because the stroke, unless you change its settings, will automatically appear to both sides of the edge. So say that this shape doesn't have a stroke. Let's go and do that. Let's select a shape. We have 2 shapes right now, right? So select one of them, head over here to where it says stroke color, where we chose color before. And instead of choosing any other color, let's go to the first choice, which is this little nope, don't want none. So we don't want a stroke. And now click away and notice that the bounding box does go to the edge of the object. It's just that the stroke, when you want it. So if you look at the size of this, if you want to see the size, you'll read it here. It's telling me that is a 6.5 by 4.5. That size is being drawn by the bounding box. Any stroke that I added, and let me show you this. You don't need to do this. A huge stroke of 20 points. See how this still says 6.5 by 4.5? The object hasn't changed size, but the stroke has made the orange part appear smaller. The light orange, both are orange. Let me change the color because that's horrible. It has made the light orange appear smaller than 6 by 5. And if you really measure it from the outside of the border, it's really bigger than 6.5 by 4.5. Does that make sense? Because this size is being measured by the bounding box. So when you have something very specific that you need to be 1 by 1 or 2 by 2 or 3 by 3, be careful that it does or doesn't include the border. The border will set itself by default. If I say 20 points, then 10 points of its size will be on the inside, 10 points of its size will be on the outside. You can change the settings, but right now we're going to leave it at that because that's the default thing. So if now I am choosing a border stroke that's only 5 points, then 2.5 of its size are in one side and 2.5 are on the other, but it's always kind of central. Let's go ahead and get rid of the stroke again. All right, so now we have one that has stroke, one that doesn't have stroke, but this is the real edge of this tool. Now, since I want to distinguish this, let me give it a different fill, green. There you go. Now, when I select an object, it gives me its border. Remember what was the point of this bounding box? What did I do with the bounding box? Can you remember what the bounding box lets me do?
You
What
can
does
change the shape if you wanted to with the little dots
Yeah.
or
It
the
lets-
size.
Perfect. It lets me manipulate the shape of my object. Great. If I select another one, I got a new bounding box, I can do that. Now, let's select both of these. And how do we select both of these? Remember, you can either click, shift click, or you can put your mouse somewhere here and then just cast a little net that connects both of them and let go, and that's also. Now, where's the bounding box? The bounding box now is surrounding both of the objects at the same time. So the bounding box doesn't really hold the object, it just holds any selected object. So there's always only one bounding box. So now if I manipulate the bounding box, both of my shapes are getting bigger or smaller. Does that make sense? Because all I'm changing is the bounding box, and whatever's caught inside of that net, so to say, is what's being manipulated. All right. So you can manipulate, you laid down 5 logos and you want them all to get bigger. You select all 5 logos and drag up and they all get bigger proportionally, right? So if this was already tiny and I select both, when I make them bigger, proportionally, they both get equally bigger. It's not like one gets bigger than another. Okay. By the way, if you ever get a message that's covering half of your screen that says a participant has enabled closed captioning and that kind of stuff, we all get a message about that, and it's in front of your screen. That little box has a little X at the end. You can click that X and get it out of the way. It just says that someone has enabled the transcripts, which is fine to do. But that message can be X'd out so that you keep seeing everything. All right, so that's how we manipulate more than one object with the bounding box, no matter if there is a border or not. Just the border portion is for you to know that that it doesn't really have anything to do with the size. Okay. Let's finally be done with, let me just get rid of one of these. Let's be with one. Let's have only one object, and let's go choose a different object. So now a different shape. So now I'm going to click here and make an ellipse. An ellipse is what we use to go do any kind of oval and circular image. Again, if you simply click, you're going to have to tell it what size, or if you click and drag, you're going to make a little circle, oval, whatnot. And if you happen to hit the actual circle, perfect circle, you get these 2 little lines telling you that you got a circle, but it's kind of hard. Usually what you end up is with some kind of a shape. And notice that I am still dragging it around because I never let go of my mouse. Once I let go, there it is, the shape has been created. So once again, click and drag and don't let go until it's got to be the size that you want it to be, and then you let go. And again, click and drag, and now it's being shaped on top of that one. Remember, the oldest one is always in the bottom, the newest one is on top. Let me change the color of this one. And now you'll see that anything else I create comes out in that second color. Now, a couple of cool things about this. I'm gonna hold down my V or selection tool so I can move it. First of all, again, since this is the last one, as you can see, it's over all the rest. And these, although I made them out there, if I put them here, they still show up that they stack themselves under or over in order of how they got created. And the last one is always going to be on top, right? So that's still a reality. Okay, just wanted to show you that no matter the shape, it's all about the last one that got created is on top. All right. Now, let me get rid of a bunch of these guys. They manipulate almost everything was almost identical. Let me make just one now. But what if I want to make a perfect circle from the beginning? I don't want to have to guess. If I hold down the shift key, when I make it, it will only be a circle. I hear you, Susan. Great. Thank you. Okay. Thanks. Susan's saying that she's on Illustrator right now, but she can't do Zoom and Illustrator. She's on a different, anyway, she's only written to me, but that's why I'm saying I hear you because she wrote to me. Okay, so here I am holding the shift key down. My circle, no matter if I make it bigger or smaller, see how it's always a circle? It only lets me make a circle. When I let go of my shift key, right, it suddenly can be distorted again. So I'm not letting go of my mouse until I hold my shift key, and that forces it to become a circle again. Does that make sense? The shift key is what's making it a circle. So when I let go, I have to let go first of my mouse so that this stays as a circle. Okay. That would have worked also for the rectangle, by the way. I forgot to show you, but in the rectangle, if I hold down my shift key and I get a perfect square. Okay, so hold down the shift key gives me the perfect shape, so to say. Okay. Here, if I just click, then I could have made a perfect shape by saying 3 by 3. But if you're dragging it out, that's how you do it. You hold down the shift key. Okay. I'm going to get rid of this one for now because I just want a circle and a rectangle. Now notice that this continued to inherit my no border, right? But if I were to put a border on it, a stroke on it, it would be the same as before. One point is barely visible. 16 points is enormous, and it goes inside and out. So there's no change. I'm going to go ahead and Command or Control Z because I don't want a border on this one. But there we go. Just showing that I did like my last choice, so I have no border. Okay. There's two big differences. These are already curved, so the little curvy widgets don't exist in this shape. Does that make sense? You got curves already, so why have a little curvy widget? So it's not going to happen. There is no quick and easy way to turn this into a rectangle, as much as there was a quick and easy way to turn this into a curvy rounded corners. This one can't easily at this point be turned into a rectangle. There just isn't. But it has one other thing. This bounding box is just square. This bounding box, on the other hand, has like a little kind of antenna sticking out on the right. You see that? That's a kind of cute little gizmo that I'm going to show you only because otherwise people wonder what happened when they do click on it. But here's what it does. Click on this little gizmo, and then you can move it up and down, and you create a little Pac-Man or a pizza that's already been eaten, depending if you're hungry or if you're feeling like playing. When you click away, you have, this would be a hard shape to make other than with this little tool. There's many ways to make it, but you very simply have cut out a chunk of it. Let me say you can select it again and keep cutting out chunks of it. You can cut out chunks of it all the way basically to making it be just like a teensy weensy little triangle. But notice that the box, the bounding box, is still the size of your original shape, because this isn't a shape that you created as a triangle. It's a shape that is just masking, so to say, the rest of it so you're not seeing it, but the stuff is still there, right? If you click around, it doesn't seem to be there. When you select the piece, it shows you that the bounding box is still there. Let's go ahead and grab it and bring it out. See, it wasn't gone. And if you bring it all the way to the beginning again, then either you have to hit the right spot to finish it, or if you start going the other way, then you get that again. So anyway, try to hit the right spot and let go, and you've got your circle again. All right. I've been showing you quite a few different things here. I showed you how to change different bounding boxes. I've shown you how to get inside of this little a circle, I've shown you how to manipulate the shape. So if everything is good, give me a yes. And if you have a question, you can say no. All right. So I am gonna let you know something. I tend to have students who want to ask questions, extra questions that aren't specifically about what I am teaching, like someone who's more advanced and wants to try something else, or someone who's new, but something really didn't work. And sometimes people, no matter how many times I tell you to say in the moment, they really want to wait until everyone's gone to ask me the question. That's so typical. And I recommend ask me during the class. But what's going to happen is normally I'm gonna, unless I'm in the midst of something that, you know, got a little bit dragging and we're still going late, I'm going to try to leave the last 10 to 15 minutes of the class where I don't teach anything new, but I let you guys ask me all of those things you were trying to ask me that I wasn't like actually talking about during class, right? Since this is so new and I don't think you have many questions to ask because we're still at the beginnings of the program. Unless you have a burning question to ask, today I'm going to teach till 4:40. But know that normally I'll say, okay, 10 minutes to go to class. Let's just kind of wrap it up, save, do some screenshots, post them in Padlet, and then do you have any questions, that kind of thing. Does that make sense? That's so. If you have any questions ahead of time, please remember that I will make time at the end for questions, but my favorite place for you to ask your questions when it pertains to the lesson is during class. All right. So now we've made some changes. The file doesn't have all the stuff it had before, so you can say file save or Command or Control S, which is the shortcut for file save. Now, why am I showing you this? Because when things are possible to be done from up here, they also show you on the right their shortcut. So Control S is a shortcut for PC. If you're on a Mac, it says Command X, and it shows the command is a little like a little flower shape. The key on a Mac has a little, the command key has like a little flowery, to call it something. So it will have flower shape plus S. So that means Command S. Okay. If you want to save as, it's Shift Control S and so on and so forth. So if you ever want to learn what new shortcuts there are, just pay attention to the menus and you'll see that there's a ton of stuff that has shortcuts. And then there's a ton of stuff that doesn't. And you have to know how to do it from the path because they don't have a shortcut, right? Just saying. So if it has a shortcut, you'll find it in the menus. All right. So now we've made these two shapes. We have been able to manipulate one and manipulate another. Let's go ahead, and the thing I'm about to teach you right now is something that most people don't even know. They've used Illustrator for years and they don't know this, but I see it as a fundamental Illustrator knowledge. So I will teach it to you, as you can see, even the first day, because I really don't believe in, I believe it's the best way to manipulate images. So it's how to change the stacking orders of this, not with a menu or a shortcut, but really knowing what you're doing. So go ahead and put one object on top of the other, kind of overlapping a little bit like that. Go ahead and just for fun, let's choose a polygon now and make a third object be a polygon. And let's change its fill to another color so that you can really distinguish them if you want to put it more, and then bring it over. Okay, oops. All right, so now there you go. Move over to, I have left a little guy there. So now we have a rectangle, a polygon, and a circle. I'm going to go ahead and select all three, move them somewhere into the middle. And you know what? I'm going to make all three bigger. So see what I'm going to do? I'm going to hold the corner and I'm going to expand. By the way, if I hold the corner, I'm also distorting them. But if I hold the corner and hold down the Shift key, then I will make them bigger or smaller proportionally and they won't distort. Okay, so I'm going to make them bigger from the corner and all at once because I've selected all three in the front ones. Okay, So now, what if I want this polygon to be in the bottom and the rectangle to be in the middle and the green circle to be on top? Basically, I want to shift the order of these shapes, right? So by the way, it's okay if you have different shapes. It doesn't matter. Just if you'll have 3 rectangles, you can do this with 3 rectangles, just give it 3 distinct colors, because that way you'll see why it'll help us for this exercise. Your shapes can be whatever shape they want, but they need to have a specific, very distinct color from each other. Okay, so now right next to the properties panel, you see the layers tab. That layers tab is pretty crucial. I'm going to click on it. And here we go. You can see a little mini version of my artboard there. And it says layer 1. I'm going to mute you, Susan, because there seems to be a little bit of feedback on the microphone when you want to talk, just so you know you're muted. There's a little bit of a kind of sound that's high pitched. Okay. So here's my layer. For those of you who are accustomed to Photoshop, you might go, wait, these should be 3 layers. If you think in Photoshop terms, this should be 3 layers. But if you don't think in Photoshop terms, or you're not advanced enough in Photoshop to have noticed the difference, these are 3 objects on 1 layer. Each one of these is considered an object here. And this is all considered 1 layer. If I want to see all 3 of my objects in the layer individually, I need to expand by clicking on this little arrow. And there you go. In my layer, I have each one of my objects appears in this panel. All right. So notice that the rectangle, which is the bottom one, is also the bottom one here. And the shape that I've been distorting, so it's not really right, is appearing at the top. So if I want to change the order of these things, I don't even need to have them selected. So actually notice that, deselect them so that clearly it's not about what object you're selecting. Click to deselect, click on some neutral white area and nothing is selected. But I can still manipulate the position in the level in the stack. Like, are you going to put the, the tomatoes on top of the lettuce or the lettuce on top of the tomatoes? So we're going to grab this rectangle here from this area where it has a name. Don't click on that. Don't click on that. These are other things. Just from where you see the name and click and drag it. And every time I move it, it's got a line, and I'm going to drag it until it has a line up on the top and let go. And now I have moved it to the top of the pile. I am actually going to get the green ellipse by selecting it, and I'm going to move that to the top of the pile. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to move the polygon to the middle again. And so I'm going to drop it. See that blue line? I'm going to drop it right in the middle. See why I wanted distinct colors so that you could really see in this little drawing which one was which. All right. Give me a yes if this is all working for you. Cool. All right. So if you've used any of these kinds of programs in the past, or if you use Canva or other simple illustration programs, you'll know that there's a shortcut and you can grab, say, this green one, which is on top. You can go over here to object, and a lot of the times you've seen the arranges, which it says bring forward, bring back, send to back. A lot of simple programs have that. And yes, I could say arrange. I'm selecting the green one. I could have said object, arrange, send to back, and there's shortcuts I could have done it with, and I can send to back, and basically that's what happened. The green just went to the bottom. Now I'm going to bring it to the front again, and I'm going to say object, arrange, bring to front, and see how it came to the top. But the thing is, this only works easily when you have a couple of objects, and it's faster. Why not do that? You can even right click on an object and then set arrange from there and bring to front. And there it is, it came to front. So there are a couple of easier ways when it's a simple thing like this. Thing is, a lot of the times Illustrator gets much more complicated than 3 objects. You might have hundreds of objects, and then bring to front, bring to back. You might have to leave it somewhere in the middle, and you have to go. If you don't bring to front, bring to back, you can also bring and just say move forward or backwards, right? So you can bring it backwards 1 step, and then 1 step and 1 step. Now imagine if you have 100 objects, you'd have to go 1 step, like 40 times to get it somewhere in the middle. So for simple objects, you can do that. A lot of people say, oh, why don't I just do arranged if you know that it's from many other programs. I think that this gives you 100% versatility, and we're going to work a lot with layers for much more stuff as we move forward in the class. It's going to get more and more intricate, and we're going to make groups and compound objects and a bunch of stuff. So I want you to be from the beginning comfortable with layers, and it's going to be something that we use all the time, but we use properties all the time as well. So when we're using properties and layers and we have to be switching, sometimes it's really uncomfortable. So I'm going to propose that we grab our layers panel and we drag it in here. You don't have to do this, but especially if you have a smaller screen and instead of changing all the time, I'm going to grab it from where it says the word layers. I'm going to pop it right there. So I'm going to grab the word layers and see, there you go. I'm going to pop it right there. There we go. So now when I go to properties, right? I go to properties and I'm ready to move these around. I click here for my layers. I move this around and I let go. If I can either click again on it, or I can click on the double arrows, or I can just click away and this will disappear. But the little double header arrow makes it disappear, or click it on and off and it disappears. Now, if you have a ton of layers and you want to see more of it, you can grab it from the very bottom. Don't touch any of these little icons, just grab it. And then you make it bigger and see things bigger and stuff. But then when you click on it, it disappears and you keep working, right? So I think this is more useful. If you want to keep it up there, that's fine too. I find in the end that in the essentials mode, this is better. Now, I'm going to switch this. Don't switch it. If I move to Essentials Classic, you'll notice that what Essentials Classic, which is the way Illustrator appeared for the last 20 years, for people who've used Illustrator before, see how much more complicated the basic set of tools are. See how many things are already here. It was much harder to learn Illustrator up until this Essentials tool thing got changed about, I'm going to say, 3 years ago, that the Essentials got simplified and Essentials Classic. And I used to, for 20 years, I've taught with this, and it was kind of hard to know what each one of these icons did. There you go. Layers was already there, things were already there. But there's so many choices that it felt like a steeper learning curve. Once you outgrow the Essentials and you turn on Essentials Classic, you'll see that there's another panel up here. And I'm speaking about this because some of you are users of Illustrator of yore, like Susan, in which case you might be accustomed to this panel up here. Notice that in the Essentials that we're using, that panel up here is gone. So it's a little bit more simplified, and that's what we're going to use. But I want to put the layers here because that makes them much more accessible, okay? Because we're going to be using these two panels at the same time. All right. Cool. So now let's open up the layers from there, and let me show you a few more things. Now, it's possible that your screen is very tiny, and when you did this, let me close my window a little bit more to demonstrate what I'm trying to demonstrate. Give me a second, because my whole thing needs to reset when I do this, and my Zoom being what it is, it probably isn't resetting well. Shoot, I shouldn't have done that. Okay, what I'm trying to say is that if this, it's probably going to mess around a little bit now, but if you try to use this and it doesn't, when you click on this, if it covers most of your image, because you don't have that much space, maybe at some point it might be easier if you throw it back up there. I just messed up doing what I did because now my VDI has frozen. Let me do a reset and hopefully it'll still allow me to get in easily. Sorry about that. I shouldn't have tried to mess around with the VDI's window. When VDI gets really slow, I'll go and work on my personal Illustrator, but when a lot of people are on VDI, I demo on VDI because then the saving file process is more complicated, and I need to make sure that you know how to do that correctly. And I think it's still trying to give me the desktop. Oh, come on, please come back. Please come back. You know what? I'm going to stop my share because that's one less thing that my Wi-Fi has to do, if it has to share my reset. Give me a second. That said, class will be over very soon. And once I get this reset, what I need to show you all who are in VDI is how to carefully save your system and back out of VDI. But what I want you to do now is to open that layers panel and do a screenshot of your 3 objects and include your layers wherever it might be that they are. And that screenshot will show me the, you know, the positioning of everything, and it'll be a different screenshot of what you did before. And if you want to write, when you put applet panel, just write, you know, layers panel, move layers up and down. Shoot, you know what? I'm going to open my other Illustrator because this one isn't happening, and I just wanted to show you one last thing. So I'm going to let that thing mess around. I'm going to actually quit Firefox and then open it up again because it's a mess. I'm going to instead show the same thing I wanted to show you in Illustrator. And then I'm going to use someone else's computer to demonstrate how to back out of VDI because mine is not coming up again. Okay, so here's my Illustrator. Really quickly, I'm going to make a file. Sorry, I already had a different setting set up. I'm just going to make 3 quick shapes to catch up to where we were. I'm going to make another one that's yellow and another one that's purple. Okay, so here the yellow one is too near to orange. So let me select this one and give it green. Okay, so here are my 3 shapes and here are my layers. And there we go. So this is, I'm back at the same place that we were. I just wanted to show you a couple more things before we are done, before I show people how to back out of VDI. And it's the other buttons that exist over here. So here on the left side, notice that my screen, things look much smaller because of the screen resolution on my Mac is bigger. But anyway, these are eyeballs that allow me to see everything or not see everything. So if this is collapsed, right, and I'm seeing just my layer and I turn the eyeball off, suddenly I see nothing. It's like all my stuff disappeared, and when I turn it on, there they are again. Rarely do we not want to see the whole layer because that's like my whole file. But what I can do is individually turn this eyeball off, and then the purple one disappears. Turn this one, the green one disappears. Turn this one, the orange one disappears. Turn these 2 off and I only see the purple one, right? Turn these 2 off. Anyway, so when you have many things and you want to do them all at once, you can click and drag and then they all disappear, or click and drag and they all appear. And you have a lot of stuff. This is pretty cool when you're trying to just see what's behind, and then you just turn them all on again. Now, what's the validity of this? It lets me work with alternate options. Maybe I want to choose a different shape or whatever, and I put 1 or 2 until I like the one I want. And I test this one. No, I test this one. No, I test this one. Ah, that's the good one, right? And then I get rid of the rest. But it also wants you to be aware that even though the file still has these shapes, if I turn these 2 off, if at this point I print this file, the only one that's going to print is the purple. Like once the eyeball is off, it's almost as if it's not there for the purpose of saving this file as a JPEG, exporting it to the web, printing it, or anything like that. So even if they are there in the file, that doesn't work. So just on the one hand, be aware of it in case you thought they were gone. If this layers weren't open, you might go, oh, this is the only object that's here. Like there's nothing else to select. If you don't see the layer, another reason to use layers is this document seems like it only has 1 object. And in fact, if I go to my layers, I can see there's 3 objects. It's just that they were hidden, right? So this is a more real display of your stuff. Now, that's the eyeballs. The other thing that appears over here are these little circles. So these little circles allow me to select an object. And 1 last minute, so I'm sorry, between the sign-ins and sign-outs. Select an object from the layers. So if I want to select the green rectangle, I click on this guy here and see how the bounding box now has selected my green object. or I click here on the purple one and now my purple one is selected, or I click here and now my orange one is selected. So this little thing allows me to select an object from in here. This will come in real handy when objects are inaccessible. For example, what if this orange object was so tiny and I moved the purple one on top and I just don't see it anymore? I can't select what I don't see, but I know it's there, so I can click on that and there it is. I knew it was there. I just had kind of misplaced it, right? And then I can grab it from that little edge and bring it out, and there it was. Okay, so there's so many reasons to use layers. I'm just showing you a couple of the practical layers. You'll see groups and a bunch of other stuff that it's useful, but there you go. That's the use of layers. Save this file, and I'm going to stop my share. My VDI did not recover. So to show you how to back out of VDI, someone who's on VDI, if you share your screen, I'll direct you in the correct way to save out of VDI using your screen. So I don't know who's left on VDI right now. Maybe Anna, maybe Jessica. Moni, you have your own, right? Yeah, you bought your own program. So Moni, Anna or Jessica. Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so if you're on VDI, what you got to do now is, first of all, there you go. Look at all your layers, where all your little shapes and stuff like that. Whoops. There you go. Go ahead and first thing you need to save your file and close it, right? So save it first. Make sure you've taken a screen. See, the screenshot right now would be hard because you'd have to include all of that gray space. So it's easier if you were to kind of move things around and do a screenshot of your layers with a bit closer, but that's okay. So here's the deal. I need you to close the file first, because if not, next time in VDI, at home you don't need to do that, but in VDI you do. Go to the name of the file, like right above this green circle, yeah, and use that little X and you can close it. On a Mac, the X is on the other side. Okay, now go ahead and go to the far right of this program, and that big old X there, close the program, which again, on a Mac, you don't close it this way. The VDI is only on PC. All right, now that you're here, the most important thing you need to do for your files to show up not corrupted next week is you now need to first sign out of your Google Drive. Let me show you, because you don't see your Google Drive, right? So let me show you where it is. See the bottommost part of your screen that is a black menu bar on the far right. Go to the far right of that menu bar. And there, yeah, right there. Start moving left, and that little triangle that points upwards, that one. Click on that one. There you go. And then click on your Google Drive. Yeah, perfect. Click on your Google Drive. Now, we're not going to close this. Be careful. People hurry up to close it. Go up to that gears. Yep. Settings. And go to, click on the word preferences. Click on preferences. Yeah. Say no thanks. Okay. Now go again to the gears. No. Go again to the gears. Yep. And now say disconnect account. So within VDI, we're disconnecting your account so that the files don't show up as corrupted next week. Good. That's all you need to do. By doing this, next week when you open up VDI again, the sign into Google Drive will appear again, right? There it is. See? So don't close it. Don't close it. Don't close it. Leave it there. You want it to sign. Otherwise, next week you have to find it, and it's easier if it's there. All right. Now let's close VDI. So go to the left side of your screen where you see that the start window, not there. We're going to close the computer first. So click on start. Yeah. And it's basically we're turning off the school computer. Go to the power button right above. Yeah. Click on it. Click on the, yeah. And then say shut down. So you're just shutting down the school computer. Now say close to that little menu. You have been disconnected, close. And now you got to shut down VDI, which at the very top, it says Horizon and there's 4 icons. Go to the last one, farthest last. Yep, that one. Nope, last one. Yeah, click on that one. And down say log out. And then do you want to log out? Are you sure? Say okay. And yay, you have completed the VDI session backing out the right way. Okay, So cool, you're done. Next time you come in, you have to sign into Google Drive again, and that is the way to do it. So Jessica, since you're the only one left on VDI right now, did that work for you? Do you need some help? Usually this, perfect. My VDI is messed up now. I'm gonna have to go and reopen it, clearing it out, reset mine because mine crashed, but hey, cool. Next week, some of you will have purchased the program. There's only a few of us, nor when I have a big class, half of the people choose to do one thing, half of the people choose to do the another. If you have any questions about during the week about the setup or something, email me. If you buy the program, remember the most important thing to remember is to use the pipeline account, but set up a personal. That's the only thing that will prevent you from countless headaches later. It's a personal account, not a school account. All right. Phew, 5 minutes over. I'm so sorry. It's just like, I had to email people in the middle and I went a little bit over, but awesome. Hopefully this has been an eye-opener and helpful, and I will see quite a few of you guys tomorrow in the digital design techniques class. And the rest of you I will see in 1 week. Okay. If you have any questions, I'll hang out a little bit, but otherwise you're welcome to leave the class. And I'm looking at the wrong space right now. There we go. Bye, Moni.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye, Jessica. Bye, Anna. Bye,
Bye, thank you.
Fabio. See you guys tomorrow.